rolling. Ever since the loss to Oklahoma State on the road, they have really found their stride. And as I said in our first half hour, Jim, from what I saw this past weekend, I think Malik Murphy will make too many mistakes. He's going to have to play so good, in my opinion, for Texas to win that game. I may be way off base. I love Texas in the run game. Their weapons are outstanding. Defensively, they're really, really good. But there is a vast and stark difference, in my opinion, between Quinn Ewers and Malik Murphy.
MyBookie.ag, bringing you Monday Morning Live for about 60 more seconds here. Royal Payne says, what if Lance Leipold had Texas A&M's NIL money? Scary thought there. Give me a 15-second thought on Lance Leipold, the big win for Kansas, and is he still in Lawrence next year?
So I had the good fortune of getting to know him when he was at Wisconsin Whitewater. In my early days at ESPN, I used to broadcast the Stag Bowl. So it was like they're in it every single year. And it did not take long through a 15-minute conversation to go, this guy's big time. Big time. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. I'd put him in the top 5 to 8 best coaches in the country right now. He could have his pick of whatever job he wants. I know Michigan State's out there. He has a Midwest history. Texas A&M, if there's a change there, I just think he's unbelievable.
Yeah, really, really good coach, and a big-time opportunity coming up maybe for him in the Big Ten. Big week ahead. We'll talk about it on the next round coming up when we go live at 9 a.m. Central. Safe travels, Luke. We'll see you here in state later on. Bye, me guys.
You bet. Bye.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's Fall Invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
The Next Round golf cart is back and is presented by Urology Centers of Alabama. For $89, play Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the renovated Woodward Golf Club. $247 in value for just $89. Or get bonus gifts with the Deluxe Golf Cart for $119. No restrictions, good through September of 2024, but supplies are limited. Buy right now at nextround.store.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our not for all ages podcasts like Bama and Bourbon, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at New Life Art. Daniel A. Moore has completed his original full-color oil painting honoring Bryce Young, Alabama's 4th Heisman Trophy winner. This painting depicts the memorable Heisman-worthy go-ahead pinpoint pass to John Mechie in the corner of the end zone as the Tide dismantled the Vaughan, Georgia defense in the SEC championship game this past year. Use code TNR for 15% off. You can order online at danielmooreart.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Our annual Halloween show tomorrow. 1 year ago on this day, we fired Brian Harsin at Auburn while in costume. Nobody's getting fired today. Big Wall Street Journal story on Sunday, though, that Michigan has rescinded his contract offer to Jim Harbaugh.
Uh-oh.
We will get into that coming up later on, but first we react to the games that went on this weekend and look ahead to what is a huge Week 10 of college football. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, Rockstar, Tyler, Lunsford, Forrester, Taylor Korn, E.G., Kelsey, Reed, everybody's here as we get ready for another big week here. It starts with Oklahoma and their loss because – I don't know if you guys thought they had the easiest path to the college football playoffs, but they had a clear path to the college football playoffs after they beat Texas. And I guess we were all counting down until we had a Texas-Oklahoma rematch again. Now, all of a sudden, the Big 12 looks wild and open with Kansas State playing good, Oklahoma State playing good, those two teams playing Texas and Oklahoma this weekend. And then here's little Lance Leipold. Little Lance Leipold and those Jayhawks pulling the upset in chilly temperatures in Lawrence.
Well, I said it last week. We had immediately thought, hey, Oklahoma-Texas is going to be a rematch. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's too many good teams in the Big 12 now. And I really thought Oklahoma was going to be challenged with Jalen Daniels. Jason Bean gets the start. He didn't play well. He turned the football over a couple of times. Kansas did everything they could to let Oklahoma win that game. And I just don't know how good Oklahoma is. And Oklahoma's about to face what has become one of the sleepiest machines in all of college football in Ollie Gordon.
At Oklahoma State in the final bedlam, like you said, that will be interesting.
It'll be a snake pit.
Yeah. This is the Big 12 is on really, really thin ice right now. Really thin ice. Because even if it's just the one loss, that Kansas loss, and this is not your normal bad Kansas team. I think Lance Leipold has done a good job. But if we start comparing teams and your loss is Kansas, it's probably not going to look the same if your loss is Washington.
That's right.
Or your loss is, somebody else. You know what I'm saying,
I think
right?
there's a great chance that the Big 12 is out of the playoff picture this week.
I do too, because of Kansas State and Texas. And the one thing that was on the horizon for Oklahoma that you worried about was having to beat Texas again. I thought they will probably get back to that game undefeated, and I think Texas is the better team, so I don't think they'll survive that. Oh, crap, they didn't even get past Kansas.
That's right.
The Big 12 is, in their final year of this constitution of the Big 12, they're in a little bit of trouble right now.
Because all of a sudden it's Florida State that seems to have the easiest
no
path
doubt
to get into the playoffs
no
with
doubt.
what they have left in the ACC. We'll talk about the college football playoff rankings, which are tomorrow night later in the show. We've given a little our playoff picks, how we would rank them right now. But as we get to this time of year, it's always chaos. Here's Brent Venables after his Oklahoma team went into Lawrence and lost in a game, by the way, that had 5 failed 2-point conversions. Here's Brent Venables.
Hurt for the guys. And as I told them, we've been telling them several weeks in a row, we're not going to be defined by any one win or any loss. We got a lot still out in front of us. This one hurts, it stings. We got punished for, again, the lack of details and discipline and just me having our guys ready to play at a high level. And but we got Oklahoma State and certainly the rest of our schedule. Got, an opportunity to still achieve most of our goals. And so now it's about how we respond.
You can't do this, but, Oklahoma beat Cincinnati 20-6. This past weekend, Oklahoma State beat Cincinnati 45-13. What doesn't make sense, you mentioned Ollie Gordon, and for those that are not familiar with Ollie, 271 this past weekend, 282 before that. Had a game before that, we had 160-plus rushing, 150-plus receiving. But in the first 3 games, when Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama, 3 games, He had 19 touches.
Carries, yeah.
19 touches in 3 games. But then all of a sudden they decided, let's give the ball to Ollie. Ollie.
Yes. What happened? Spencer Sanders, a lot of people look back at that and they're like, it's so weird that he transferred to a place he doesn't even start when he probably could have started. It was like the focus for Mike Gundy was these 3 quarterbacks, who's going to be the guy. And what they didn't realize is they had such a weapon sitting there in Ollie Gordon. And now that they've got that figured out, they're playing good defense. And not only is Oklahoma State playing better, West Virginia's playing a lot better. Oklahoma's got them in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. Coming off a loss.
I want to go back to that Oklahoma-Kansas game because I watch it a little bit differently because of this. I've been so vocal about coaches chasing points that anytime it happens in a game of any note that's on TV, people start tweeting me, is Lance Leopold chasing points? I don't know if you guys watch it this way, but when a team scores to go up 5 and misses a 2-point conversion, I always think we're in for a bunch of 2-point conversions because here's why. When the next team scores, they're up 1. So they're like, well, I got to go for 2 to make it 3. So you're about to get 2-point conversions back and forth once that happens, especially if they start missing them, which they did.
Because you get on the sheet at that point.
That's right. Kansas missed 3 of them and Oklahoma missed 2 of them. You normally do not see that now.
And I thought it was a 50-50 proposition. I'm not so sure. At least this year, it seems like they're converted about 1 out of 3, about 35 to 40% maybe.
Yeah, the analytics have always said it's 50-50. I don't know if that's real life or just analytics.
It seems 100% when you run the right play.
It does if you're not Gus Malzahn.
It seems 0% when you run the wrong play.
But it's interesting, Oklahoma was a 2-point conversion away from losing last week, right? If UCF runs a better 2-point play, they win that game.
Yeah.
And,
or go to overtime.
Yeah. Potentially losing, I guess, is a better way of putting it. You're right. Kansas with a backup quarterback, weather was not great. They had the delay, but it's a delay for both teams. It's crappy weather for both teams.
Yeah, I would tell you this. The delay actually benefited Oklahoma. They came out and went on a run. They
scored 3 straight times.
Yeah, went on a run. And then they went to halftime, and then Kansas came out and went on a run. So Oklahoma loses. But as LT pointed out, some tough games coming up for the Sooners. And then this weekend, it's a weekend of a reckoning. Because is anybody playing better football? You mentioned Oklahoma State in the Big 12 than Kansas State right now. Kansas State with 2 quarterbacks, they are playing really good football. They dismantled a Houston team that had taken Texas to the deep into the 4th quarter of the week before. Kansas State goes to Austin this weekend, and Lugs was at the Texas game, the BYU Texas game. He says they're sort of pointing at Iowa State for the Quinn Ewers return. You watch Texas with Malik Murphy, and it's anything but smooth running the offense. This is a dangerous game for Texas with Kansas State coming to town.
Well, and you think about Kansas State, the 2 losses, Memphis hits a 62-yard field goal, and they lose on the road in Columbia to Missouri, who now looks like a pretty good team. And then they lose in Stillwater on that Friday night. And I thought that was a horrific loss, but that was Ollie Gordon's coming out party.
That's right.
That's when they had figured out their offense finally. So those 2 losses don't really look nearly as bad in retrospect. And Kansas State outscored their last 2 opponents 82-3. And this Kansas State team is playing with an attitude right now. And, boy, they want Texas.
And that's what I'm telling you. That's why this is shaky ground for the Big 12 in terms of the national championship picture. This next weekend could do them in.
Yeah.
And I know Kansas would still just have the 1 loss, but you could easily see the nightmare scenario if Kansas State beats Texas.
I bet I did something Saturday morning that you guys did not do. Well, I got in the car at 10:30, and I headed up to Nashville.
Okay.
But I listened to every minute of the Kansas State game, 41-0.
Why would you keep listening?
Was it broke? Was the exit?
It was the only 11 o'clock game we had, and Kansas State's one of those 10 teams I drafted, so you get points for shutout. So I was just kind of locked in.
I bet Maddie loved that one.
Yeah, she did. She loved it.
Don't forget your Kansas Agricultural Association.
You know what? It was PSA after PSA after PSA. I mean, I felt bad for the sales team. Now, I know play-by-play in today's world's got to be a tough sell, but it was nothing but PSAs.
Our friends at Redmond, speaking of which, brings you part of the show today. We'll get to the cocktail party. Hopefully there were a few Redmond vodkas drank down in Jacksonville.
You know, I actually had a Redmond Bloody Mary yesterday morning as I was getting ready to see the Rams get dismantled by the Cowboys. First time I've had a Bloody Mary in forever. Wow. But, hey, look, it's a great product.
Fitting drink for the way your team played.
Yeah, it was 4.5 minutes of just a crazy sequence. But 8 times distilled, gluten-free, available in 22 states. Ask for it by name if they don't have it. Tell them to get it. Again, locally owned and operated. Charles Barkley, one of the great faces behind the incredible product that is Redmond vodka.
If we we were a very, very cool restaurant, we would have named it the Bloody McVeigh yesterday instead of a Bloody Mary.
His little one's 0-1 now.
That's right.
On the planet.
Since he had a kid, he can't win.
He is not 1-1 as a father.
Yeah, we gotta have some priorities, right?
That's right.
Georgia without Brock Bowers was no problem. Stuart Mandel points this out. I just want to do this real quick. Kentucky's coming to Athens, right, earlier this year, and Kentucky was nationally ranked, and everyone's like, ooh, could be a scary game for Georgia. They win it by 38. Meanwhile, cocktail party, no Brock Bowers. Ooh, 5-2 Florida, playing better. Could be a scary game. 23-point win. As Stuart Mandel points out, you really don't want to be on the radar for Georgia because South Carolina, who's got 2 wins, only loses by 10. Yep. Auburn, who just got their first SEC win, has been the toughest game Georgia has played to date. Auburn beat them by 7. Georgia beat Auburn by 7, only by 7.
Their 2 toughest teams, they flipped the switch on for. There's no doubt about it.
And then here comes Missouri.
It gets their attention,
Well, I mean, so if you're expecting Georgia to struggle, it's going to be against Georgia Tech, right?
That would
and
be
Georgia
the one.
Tech is actually playing better football.
Georgia Tech
King is playing like the quarterback that Jimbo Fisher wanted to see. I know that sounds crazy.
Georgia Tech's doing the wrong thing. They're starting to play good at the wrong time.
No, but I mean, I think probably Missouri gets kicked in the dick. I mean, this Georgia team, it's another thing. I hate watching games in the wild. Because you're surrounded, you can't control your environment.
Yep, no doubt.
And I had this table of a bunch of Middle Tennessee State fans sitting next to me.
Well, I didn't know there were enough Middle Tennessee State fans.
I was in Murfreesboro at this random-ass sports bar.
Fill a table.
Table of 4.
Because the random-ass sports bar said, yeah, we've got the Pac-12 network. And guess what they didn't have? The Pac-12 network. That's what I'm paying for again this month.
Yeah.
Fubo, because I forgot to cancel it in 24 hours. But I'm sitting there, and there's this group of Middle Tennessee State fans. Florida goes up 7-0, and one of them's like, I told you, man, this Georgia team, they just don't have what they've had the last couple of years.
Did you say you want to make this interesting?
Oh, and I'm just biting my lip. And then the next thing you know, they come out and they steamroll. And Ladd McConkey looks like the weapon we thought Ladd McConkey could be.
That fourth down play by Billy Napier was just, I mean, going for it was one thing, but the play they ran, you're just, what are you doing?
For those that didn't watch the game or missed that part, it's 10-7 at that point. Georgia's up 3, 4th in inches. Brandon. It's not even a full yard, it's inches.
Graham Mertz, pretty big guy.
Yeah, I mean, and you got running backs.
That's right.
Right?
So what do you do, Jim?
They don't line it up and just run it. They run a little gadget play. Looked like he was going to throw it, too.
Yeah, I don't know what the crap
he was left-handed. It looked like he was getting ready to throw it.
Jim, they only lost 6 on 4th and 1. I mean, that's,
I mean, Etienne Johnson would be your first options.
Yep.
I mean, Mertz, a quarterback sneak is
a
not
lot
a
of
bad
things.
call.
A lot of things.
And Mertz didn't play bad. They just couldn't run the football. And Georgia, when Georgia plays clean football, 2 penalties, no turnovers, you're not beating them.
But to Brown's point, what does that tell you usually? It's just if you're on that team, if it's 10-7 and we've got inches and the coach is calling, I mean, they had 2 guys out in the pass route.
Yeah, we go gadget play.
So they go gadget play on 4th and inches. That tells you my coach does not think we're good enough to win this game. We're not good enough to line up and get an inch against Georgia is what it tells me. He was trying to steal a touchdown there is what he's trying to do.
So last week we said we think Georgia's going to lose one of these games. We couldn't put a finger on it. I didn't think it was going to be Florida. I don't know. If Georgia plays like they played Saturday, they're not going to lose one of these games.
That's right. That's exactly right. This team's darn good. Kirby Smart is even talking crap afterwards. Dan Mullen, I miss all these predictions, I guess. Dan Mullen somewhere picked Florida to beat Georgia.
Yeah. The thing I wondered about this is where do you get Dan Mullen's predictions?
I don't know.
I don't know where Dan's doing predictions.
He's not on game day.
No.
And he wasn't the guest speaker.
Is he not in studio SEC Network?
No.
No.
He's on studio on Saturdays on ABC.
Right.
Okay.
No, he's on... Is he on ABC? He does football
ESPN
final
2 or something like that.
Football final on Saturday night.
Does a Thursday night game.
He does a Thursday night game where I guess he made his pick.
Maybe.
But he used to coach Florida and picked Florida apparently, or either Kirby and Georgia dreamed this up like last year's 7-5 predictions. But it was enough for Kirby to reference it in the postgame.
I don't even hear it. I mean, I literally don't, so I don't address it. I think they may hear it because they're on their phones 24/7, and it bothers me that they may hear that, or they may feel anxiety, they may feel pressure from this, win thing. At the end of the day, the quickest way to lose it is think about that. So when you think about attacking somebody and coming after them every play, and with a mindset of Friday the 13th. They can't kill Jason. He keeps coming back, man. Like you got to keep going that way and think that way aggressively, so you're not paranoid about that. And I don't see it or hear it, but I know it's out there. Somebody texted me before the game. It's like all these people predicting that we're not gonna, we're not gonna win today, and I'm just like, golly, where's that coming from? It's supposed to be my friend. He didn't like to recruit though, so it's
boy. Bodied him at the end.
He didn't like to
chalk outline around him.
They are the anti-USC on defense, and what I mean by this is watching USC this past weekend against California, and a quarterback named Fernando Mendoza lighting them up, but USC just missing tackle after tackle after tackle again, and watching Georgia, I don't think they miss a tackle.
No, they're obviously really good defensively. It's these coaches never hear, they don't pay any attention to the media until the media says something bad about them, then they all of a sudden hear it. It's wild to me. I don't think Kirby needed that extra motivation. I don't guess he used it. He says he doesn't address it. This Georgia team, when they're playing engaged at their best, they're better than anybody. There's no doubt about it. We have not seen that every week from them, and that is Kirby's challenge. Nick Saban has faced it at Alabama. Urban Meyer faced it at Florida and Ohio State. Any great coach has faced. Pete Carroll at USC is taking teams that never do anything but win football games and keeping them engaged in winning football games. Very hard to do.
Hard to do. Tyler Booker joins us in the next segment to talk about LSU and Alabama. Dr. B bringing you part of the show today, and then we'll get to Auburn's win, Hugh Freeze's first SEC win as a coach of the Auburn Tigers.
This past Thursday went in, got a little skin work from Dr. B done. Again, you see the sunspots there darkening up. These things hopefully will be off the face in the next couple of days, but also went in and got that Sensus transdermal infuser. This enables Dr. Beckenstein to get various medicines and therapies into the scalp where the hair follicles are without using any injections. This is revolutionary, as Dr. B can pinpoint delivery of a patient's genetically specific products without any needles. Again, since I went to see Dr. B about a year and a half ago, my hair has more than doubled in thickness. Make the phone call that I made. Schedule that consultation, 205-319-0316. For more information, go online, t3hair.net.
For Auburn, Hugh Freeze, and I think, Brown, you said this in our postgame show, Auburn fans in our chat postgame on Saturday night seemed to think this was a Hugh Freeze called game.
That is a urban legend. Hugh denies that, but the conspiracy theory, I think, among Auburn fans was that the reason they looked so good in the first half is Hugh Freeze took over the play calling.
Wasn't Monty?
Wasn't Monty. Now, Hugh denies this.
Did Monty go second half?
I don't know. I don't know what happened second half, but that is the conspiracy theory out there among the Auburn fans.
I think Monty went second half.
Yeah. Well, the fact of it, in the first half, in the first drive, Peyton Thorne wasn't looking over his shoulder, played well. They spread the ball around, a lot of receivers, and Jarquez Hunter is starting to run the football. Auburn gets the win. Here's Hugh Freeze after the victory this past weekend over Mississippi State.
As I told them this week, it's time for us to put up or shut up and figure out, who can run the things we want to run. And I thought both showed signs this week in practice of improvement. And but he just started hot and felt good about our plan. And we had a little plan for Robbie too, and just never really got to it. But I thought Peyton played really well, and it's really good to see.
I like that, the mentality, though. Look, he got hot, and there was no need to put Robbie Ashford in that game. They're up 21 at halftime. That was their largest lead in an SEC game over the last 4 years.
Yeah. It
felt good watching them, yeah.
Yeah, the weird thing is, all of a sudden, Peyton Thorne's making NFL throws. It's not just that Hugh Freeze, let's say he was calling plays, right? He can't just all of a sudden make Peyton Thorne start making NFL throws. And Peyton Thorne was making good throws. That's more than just play calling, right? That's a quarterback that is seeing things and playing what he sees.
Yeah, I would say there's a variety of things. You're getting used to Gus Malzahn's offense. I agree with you. Not looking over the shoulder is huge. And Hunter opening up things for a quarterback. That's the Hunter we expected to see this year, what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And on the flip side, Mississippi State is a bad football team. Yeah. And I don't know how Arkansas only scored 3 points on that team.
I don't either. And, I occasionally go on with our buddy Mike Grace and Bart Heitch. Bart, the former, y'all all know Bart, Mississippi State player. Mike's a big Mississippi State guy, and they were talking to me today about Arnett, and I think the tide has turned on him. I think State fans see what we were talking about in the postgame. And, Lance, when you watch Zach Arnett, the thing that bothers me about him if I'm a State fan is they show the sidelines. He's always got the headset on, and the mic's always turned up, never talking to anybody. And I'm like, when I see a Georgia player make a bad play, I see an Alabama player make a bad play, I see an LSU player make a bad play, they cut to the coach, and you know what Brian Kelly and Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are doing? They're letting somebody have it on that headset, right? I don't know who's getting it, but somebody's getting it. It's like he's completely disengaged, and I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to work for Arnett.
I go back, and I am just shocked at how Arizona lost to Mississippi State, and then I remember, well, they turned it over 5 times.
Yeah.
And anytime you turn it over 5 times, you're not going to win a game. But, I mean, if they play that game again, I think Arizona beat them by 28.
Yeah, especially now with their QB2s, one of the better quarterbacks in America.
Fafita.
Don't you start wondering about Fafita not being the QB1 at Arizona and Ollie Gordon not being RB1 at Oklahoma State? What are the coaches seeing?
Well, Jaden DeLauro was good. He wasn't as good as Noah Fafita. But I think sometimes when these guys get in there and the lights come on, they're better game players than they are practice players.
Maybe so. A couple of things here before we get to Tyler Booker. One of those, our friends at MyBookie giving you the line, was it 4.5 is where it opened for Alabama LSU. This weekend in Tuscaloosa. Has that number drifted anything at mybookie.ag?
Yeah, it's 3.5 right now. Alabama favored 3.5, a total of 60 in this game coming up Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's where you can get it right now at mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on there. That sign-on bonus is going to get you a bonus, or that sign-on deposit is going to get you a bonus of 110% when you use code next round. That is absolutely free money for mybookie.ag, 110%. When you go there and use code next round, you can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round to get that 110% sign-on bonus. Play with it right away. Win once. It is yours and yours forever at MyBookie.ag, code next round to get that sign-on bonus. Yeah, Alabama 3.5.
Yep.
Total of 60. Don't know which way. It's obviously ticked down a little bit. Don't know where it'll go through the week.
But Peter Burns, longtime LSU guy, SEC Network, says at 3.5 now against Alabama, it is the first time the Tigers have been that small of an underdog since 2008 in Baton Rouge against Alabama. Alabama's been a bigger favorite against LSU every time they played since 2008, more than 3.5.
Trying to remember what 19 was. I know Alabama and Tua were favored.
Yeah, obviously more than 3.5.
Yeah,
I would guess
2011, I thought Alabama was 3.
Yeah.
But could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be an exciting weekend, man. Game day coming in.
A lot of good games. Not just LSU, Alabama, right?
Yeah, but you're going to Tuscaloosa, right?
I'll be in Tuscaloosa as well for that one. Johnson RV Center will be part of our big plans this weekend. We're going to have a Johnson RV down in Tuscaloosa. And tell us about Johnson RV as we get to Tyler Booker on the other side.
I wonder if they know what they've gotten themselves into here at Johnson
I know
RV.
this, though.
They never do.
My man Nick told me not one, but 2 TVs.
2 TVs and an RV from Johnston RV Center. They've been at the Forest River Expo, and there they see the latest travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhome floor plans, and then they pick out a lot of exciting new fresh inventory, and it starts arriving soon there on the lot, so they got to make room for it. So they've kicked off the Call of Fall campaign, which is going to give you great savings on a ton of different lines this fall. So you can go out and see America this fall with fifth wheels, discounted more than $50,000 in some cases. Travel trailers starting at $179 a month with approved credit. Don't forget the lifetime warranty from RV Warranty Forever on anything new and used under 2 years of age. Right there at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. We talk Bama LSU with Alabama's Tyler Booker next on the next round.
Follow the Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention Next Round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone, the New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Big weekend in college football. We're doing a little thing with Folds of Honor today. We'll talk about that in the next segment. Veterans Day is coming up. You're seeing some veteran uniforms and veteran-themed practice jerseys, and our man Tyler Booker honoring our military and the veterans as well with his gear today. Let's talk about the big weekend with Tyler.
Yeah, it is Alabama-LSU weekend. We'll discuss that with Tyler Booker on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He joins us each week, courtesy of Craneworks and Rental Works. Tyler Booker's a big guy. The big guy says check out that big dog, Craneworks and Rental Works. Welcome to LSU week. How are you, Tyler?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Doing awesome. Thanks a lot. How fun listen, I know you guys tell us, they're all the same. Chattanooga's just like LSU or just like Auburn. But it's got to have a different feeling. How fun is it when you know game days come into town and the eyes of the world will be on Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, like we usually say, we don't like to concern ourselves with the external factors, but let's be real. Like growing up watching college game day, that's something that's that I always dreamed of playing in front of. I played in front of college game day a few times, and just very excited to go out and perform. You know what I mean? But it's like, I played in front of college game day, but what will I do in front of college game day? You know what I mean? So that's really my main focus: making sure I have a great performance, making sure we prepare the right way, and really just take advantage of the platform that we're being given. You know.
As a guy that actually is playing the game, you see it differently. So when you break down film on this LSU defense, it's much maligned. People are like, this defense, their offense is great, their defense is terrible, but they have some studs on that defense, do they not?
They definitely do. They have a really strong interior defensive line. They're really good up front, and as everybody in the whole country knows, Harold Perkins is a game wrecker, you know. So we have to be on our toes as an offense this week and really just be even more communicative throughout the offensive line and just making sure we have great communication, going to the right spots, and just executing. But that's as an offense as a whole, because they're a really good defense.
They too had a bye weekend, no game this past weekend. I assume most of the fans who notice that say, that's 2 weeks for Alabama to prepare for LSU and 2 weeks for LSU to prepare for Alabama. For those of us that aren't there at practice, how much preparation goes in last week for the LSU opponents? And I wonder, they're probably doing the same thing in Baton Rouge. Did you guys work LSU at all last week, or was it all on yourselves?
It was a majority on ourselves. We took that week to look at what we didn't do the best in the front end of the season and really focus on the things that we really need to do better. So for myself, last week I focused on just playing with my hands inside a little bit more, footwork, how I can shorten up communication with the tackle. So just little things to better myself for the rest of the season. Yeah, of course we looked at them a little bit. Like I watched them on LSU by myself, but yeah, last week was a get better week rather than focus on LSU, prepare for LSU.
Tyler Booker is with us, the Alabama offensive lineman, joins us each week courtesy of Craneworks and RentalWorks. The big guy says check out the big dog, Craneworks and RentalWorks. We ask you about revenge against Tennessee, and you're like, it's an external factor, man. We don't play for revenge. But after the game, everybody talked about, that became a very personal game for us. The Alabama players are saying that. Is the same thing in effect against LSU because of the way you lost that game last year?
Well, like I said, against Tennessee, last year's team. We have a new team, have a new coordinator. They're a new team, so it's just what are we going to do? What legacy are we going to leave? What memory are we going to leave against LSU this year? You know what I mean? So obviously, though, the majority of us remember the feeling from last year, and we're just going to let that drive us for this week.
The first college football playoff rankings are tomorrow night. They'll be released. Is that even on your radar? Do you care anything about that?
No. We just have to do everything in our power to be recognized in the top 4 teams. The top 4 teams aren't decided tomorrow night. They're decided a lot later. But in between now and then, we have to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to be seen as one of those top 4 teams.
Tell me, the last time game day was in town was for Texas earlier this year, a loss for you guys. Tell me, as these guys roll back into town, how Alabama has gotten better since that game. What are you doing better now as a team that maybe you were not doing as well back then?
We're executing it. Like I said from the jump, it was going to take a little while for us to get accustomed to playing with each other, playing for the new coordinators. But we're executing a lot better, and we're still not there yet. But the thing that's most encouraging is we get better each week. You know what I mean? We find stuff on our scheme that works for us better each week. So, like, it's not just us as players getting better. It's the coordinators getting better. It's the position coaches getting better. It's just a complete commitment to excellence by everybody in the building. So everybody's bought in, and we're just we see the potential that we have, and everybody's just excited to reach it.
If you had to guess, has there ever been a player in Alabama history better about not talking about external factors than you?
I think I should be the best. The best.
I mean,
we'll see. It's a lot of season left, so.
I know. I mean, do you have a control panel? Does Nick Saban just open it up and he inserts that into you, or is it just osmosis? How do you learn not to talk about game day coming to town and revenge and all those things?
So there's a big TV behind my phone, and I get a check mark to talk about it, and a big red X behind me.
Yeah.
Just going by that red X. Green check mark.
Oh, trust me, I know every office. I know every office in that football building, and I know when it's a big game week on where you're doing your live shop from.
What did you do? You never sent us a photo of the chicken and broccoli pizza, and we will not forgive you for that. How was it this weekend?
I ate it too fast. It was amazing. I got it from Modern Pizza. See, Modern Pizza, that's my favorite spot, but it's not one of the bigger ones like Sally's and Pepe's. But Modern, that's the real New Haven is no Modern.
Yeah.
all the tourists.
Now, I know you said Saban would not appreciate the fact that you
don't walk on his NIL. He's trying to get free stuff back in New Haven right now.
Oh, I'm sure he's
fine.
That out.
Let it breathe.
Let it breathe.
I asked you, though, last time if you could eat the whole thing, and you said absolutely, but Coach Saban wouldn't like that. But since you were on a bye, did you indulge and finish off the entire pie?
I had 3 slices. I shared it with my family.
Yeah, 3
slices.
Man, that's pretty impressive.
That's an appetizer.
Yeah. Well, go have a great week, man. Have a great week, and I hope you're in this kind of mood next Monday too, man. I love it when you're laughing.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck against LSU, Tyler. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Tyler Booker with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
My low-key prediction there.
Tyler joins us each week. I noticed Tyler joins us each week, courtesy of Craneworks and Rental Works. The big guy says, look for the big dog, Craneworks and Rental Works.
All right. Also, our show being brought to you by Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing. I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but we're about to get a little weather change in the next 24 hours. So we're moving into the fall and winter season that can just do so much damage to your roof and to your home. Make sure that roof is ready for what's to come this winter by getting a free no-cost roof inspection. All you have to do is call Greg from Pell City, 205-542-3531, 542-3531. Sometimes the weather is so good around here. Maybe you don't even need a house sometimes. We can just all live outside in perfect 77-degree weather. But then here comes winter when you need that home, that refuge. Make sure you're protecting it with a great, strong roof, A+ rated with a Better Business Bureau. That's Greg from Pell City. He'll get up there and check that roof out. Free, no obligation, 205-542-3531. Or on Facebook, he's Greg from Pell City Storm Restoration Roofing. Special guest coming up in the next segment, and then we'll talk to Joel Klatt at 10:25. One more note from this college football weekend that we saw. Oregon went in and beat one of LT's kids, Utah, this weekend at Rice-Eccles, where they had won 18 straight games.
Now they beat them. Like, you would have to call, like, child services to this one of my kids.
They did. And you were projecting, not that we all, and when you do this, we all make projections that are wrong sometimes, and sometimes more than others. But you sort of sensed Bad Bo would be back. But Bo went out there and hit 14 of his first 15 passes, which is huge in that place, not to give a little momentum going for that great student body and that great fan base. But to go out there and calmly hit 14 of 15, they jumped out 21-3 and never let the crowd become a factor and took Utah out of their game a little bit. I know I'm supposed to think that Washington is better than Oregon because they beat them. But I don't think they are. Oregon, to me, is the best team in the Pac-12.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, this is kind of like Texas, Oklahoma. I still think Texas is probably the better team.
I do too.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, that was the most impressive I have seen a Pac-12 team look this year.
Me too.
And I think, especially from a conversation I had on Twitter yesterday, that my stance on this might be a bit misunderstood from when I was a voter. I've always said when all things are equal, head-to-head matters most to me than anything. I don't know that I consider all things equal anymore. Oregon's the better team than Washington.
They are, but that becomes a problem, right?
If I were, and we'll see it when you see my vote. I mean, if I were on that committee, I'd have Texas in front of Oklahoma and Oregon in front of Washington. I look at Oregon and I say, if they had just played it by the book.
You can't do that.
But if they had, Lance.
Well, yeah.
If they had just played it by the book, we're discussing, is this the best team in America?
That's right.
I mean, there's a legit chance they're number one in this first college football playoff poll.
Yeah, but they'd beaten Washington.
If they had just played it by the book.
That was the Utah team I thought we would show up the last couple of weeks. I mean, they look completely depleted. But look, I got to give them credit. That was in a really difficult venue, and it wasn't even close.
It was not. And the fact that Bo Nix has started more games than anybody in the history of college football, he holds the record with a bonus year thrown in there now. He has a poise about him that could help this team be dangerous down the stretch. Still some potential losses down the road, but Oregon State on the road looks to be their toughest remaining game.
No, that game's in Eugene.
It is?
I thought it was in Corvallis. Their only road game they've got left is in Tempe. So they've got a beneficial schedule when you look at it.
Their toughest games are behind them at this point.
Yeah, because this week they've got California, who, by the way, is better than advertised with this new quarterback.
Yeah.
And Jade Knott, they got away from running the football in the second half.
No, he got hurt. He got hurt in the third quarter.
Yeah, but I'm talking about they got rid of I mean, they got completely away. They were just flinging the ball all over the place. Of course, they were moving it. That game, probably more difficult than people think. SC, I mean, they'll win that game. Arizona State, they'll win that game. If the Civil War was in Corvallis, that would be interesting.
Okay, so it's in Eugene.
They've got one November road game. That's it. Yeah. They're at Arizona State. They play November right there in the friendly confines. And this is, I mean, I fully anticipate, and I guess it'll be Washington they face again. I would imagine it is. Even Washington's leaking oil right now. But I think they're going to be that one-loss team when they face Washington.
Good to be Oregon right now. We'll talk more football coming up at the top of the hour. a little conversation about Folds of Honors and a way to honor so many who have given the ultimate sacrifice here in our next segment. I want to remind you that part of the show is being brought to you by what we consider to be the best tequila in the world. It's Maestro Dobel Diamante tequila made with 100% pure agave. When you're looking for a tequila, why not get one with this great backstory, aged in wood barrels in the Balkan region of Eastern Europe, brought here to the U.S. with this crystal clear tequila, robust in flavor, so crisp in taste. You got to try it. Ask for it by name. Maestro Dobel Diamante tequila. More on the next round coming up.
Start each game week on Monday Morning Live with ESPN's Tom Luganville and Jim Dunaway. 7 a.m. everywhere you get the next round.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com. The latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com. That's nextroundlive.com.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got two great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 and Hoover with walk-ons.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The Next Round Golf Court is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes of golf and cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. That's a value of $247 for just $89. Or get the Next Round Deluxe Golf Cart for just $119. It gets you all 4 courses with cart, plus an exclusive Next Round Golf t-shirt, koozie, golf tees, and a sticker. There are no restrictions. The cart is good through September 2024. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Back with you on the Next Round, the show being brought to you today in part by our friends at Alabama Power. When you're looking to stay connected with your account, go to Alabama Power to check out everything they offer there and stay in touch, whether it's the amount of electricity you're using, whether you want to make a payment. Maybe you have an outage when a winter storm blows your way this winter. You can find out when your power will be back on. Available for both Apple and Android services. Simply search Alabama Power in your app store or go to alabamapower.com/mobile app to download today.
Our next guest is in studio with us. We're going to spend some extended time with him today. We're going to talk to him right now, but a little bit later on after the show, we're going to record an extended video about his life and career. It's Sergeant Rodney Sickmann. In the United States Marine Corps for 444 days was a prisoner of war in Iran, and we will discuss that with him a little bit later on. He's here today with our friends at Bud Light and Folds of Honor, which is an organization we've worked a lot with, and Bud Light has supported for years. Sergeant Sickmann, welcome in. We appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, Ryan. And Ryan, please, you guys got to call me Rocky. Only my mother called me Rodney when I was growing up, so please call me Rocky.
Rocky? Okay, Rocky. We'll go Rocky. So, Folds of Honor, let's discuss that. It is an incredible organization. We've done great. They did all the great work. We just participated some with them. And for those that don't know what Folds of Honor does, can you educate our audience on Folds of Honor?
Absolutely. An organization that came about in 2007, and since that time, 51,000 scholarships, $240 million, providing scholarships to children and spouses of fallen, disabled military, and now first responders. 45% of our recipients are minority, and out of that 45%, 57% are female. Every dollar that comes in, Ryan, 90 cents goes back into that scholarship. So we're very lean and mean.
So Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, this is kind of his brainchild. And really cool story on how this all came to light. But then your involvement, so you worked at AB Anheuser-Busch for years. I think you were selling beer, right?
Yes, sir. I was the director of military sales.
And then in 2016, I think it was, you made the flip and you came into Folds of Honor. So the last 7 years, you've been highly involved with this. But go back, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, how he came up with this incredible idea.
Lance, he had made a flight from Chicago to Grand Rapids, just came back. He's an F-16 fighter pilot. And he had just came home, took a flight from Chicago to Grand Rapids. As they landed, the pilot asked everyone to remain on board because they were bringing a remains of a young soldier that lost his life. As he's hearing the pilot talk, he looks out to the right, sees the casket draped with an American flag, to see a young boy waiting for his father, a little boy that would never again be able to go fishing, have us tucked in at night, and along with his wife. And the pilot had asked everybody to remain on board while the remains were taken off. 20 minutes later, the pilot came on and said, "Thank you for waiting." Lieutenant, or at that time, Major Rooney, he's now Lieutenant, he's wiping his tears away, gets up, looks around, and realizes that over 3/4 of the flight that was on that airplane left. Nowhere to go than the warm blanket that this man just gave to his country. And he came home just distraught, and he told his wife, people don't get it. Freedom is not free, and there are people losing their life. And so he said, I got to do something. So I was a director of military sales, and Major Rooney made the first cold call to me at Anheuser-Busch. And so little did he know who I was. He told me his story. I told him my story. And so 13 years later, here we are. Anheuser-Busch has provided over $22 million to Folds of Honor to help us provide those 51,000 scholarships. And so I retired in 2016. He asked me to come on board, and it's a therapeutic piece for me, you guys. With what I went through, every morning I wake up and I think of those 8 guys that gave their life for me, and it's a piece for me to give back to these families to make sure that Americans know that freedom is not free. And there are people that have lost their life for the freedom that we enjoy each and every day.
And we'll jump into your story, as we said in an extended interview. But for those that are watching now, you were held hostage in the Iranian hostage crisis.
Yes, sir, Jim, for 444 days, November 4th, 1979. The day that the war on terrorism started. And obviously many of your listeners out there probably weren't even born. But yes, I had no idea that I would be thrown into the situation. Last night I spoke at the Patriot event here at the state of Alabama, Folds of Honor, and there were many Vietnam veterans at this event. And here it was, 1979. I was 22 years of age, and I'm sitting there tied to a chair for the first 30 days, and I'm sitting there thinking that nobody cared about the Vietnam veterans when they came home in 1975. Here I was tied in a chair 10,000 miles away from home. There were 60 of us, and I'm thinking, if nobody cared about them, who's going to care about us? And as you said, tied to the chair, very similar to this chair I'm sitting in, my arms were tied to the arms of the chair, my feet were tied to the feet of the chair for over 30 days. And you just sat there thinking, who's going to remember us? Who's going to care about us? Other than your family. But little did we realize that Ted Koppel Nightline was created and started, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I was at a gas station this past Saturday morning filling up, and I walked in to pay, and the guy had a Air Force veteran hat on, and I started chatting with him, and he had done 3 tours in Vietnam, and now he's working at a gas station, and you could just tell he doesn't feel appreciated. And the guy has been all over the world. We talked for 10 minutes. I mean, fascinating story. But it is amazing what you guys have done for us and the lack of respect. And I'm not going broad brush here. I know there's a ton of people that respect the military, but for anybody to not respect the military drives me insane.
That, and, Lance, it's not only the military, but the families of what they go through. You guys all have families, children?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Imagine one of your children being held hostage, in a wartime situation. How do you wake up and come to work and speak to an audience? Your mind's not thinking of that. My poor mother and father had to go through that. The families of our military, that's 1% of our population. And then you think about the first responders. There's 2 million. There's 800,000 police officers. There's 1 million firefighters. And there's 200,000 EMT that respond to 240 million 911 calls. And so their families, when they leave in the morning, they don't know if they're going to come back. And so we must take care of these individuals and must remember them. And we support them, and that's what we're doing with Folds of Honor.
Sergeant Rocky Sickmann, I did at that time.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant Rocky Sickmann, United States Marine Corps, with us in studio with Folds of Honor. And I believe, and I'm not running for office here, but as a nation, we have a responsibility to care for our elderly, care for our children, care for the disabled, and care for the United States veteran.
Yes.
And I do think part of that is it's to Lance's point, like when I see a gentleman wearing or a lady wearing, a Vietnam veteran hat or desert, I always try to thank them for their service. And I know that's appreciated, but I think we have to remember the price the family pays too. And that does get often forgotten. It's easy to walk up to the guy wearing the hat and thank him for his service. But the family, and especially those whose mom or dad do not come home, and that's what Folds of Honor does so well.
Yeah, providing scholarships. And like I said, 51,000 scholarships. My story is just one of those 51,000 out there. And like I said, you guys, we were talking about my girlfriend that waited for me for 444 days. We've been married now 42 wonderful years. But what my parents went through, I mean, those 444 days, when I came home and how they had aged, it was 2 Thanksgivings. It was 2 Christmases. My mother, God love her, she was a staunch Catholic. She put the Christmas tree up in December of 1979 and did not take it down until I came home in January of 1981. Every time it died, she sent my dad back out to get a Christmas tree.
Wow.
I mean, she was just that strong piece. And so we need to bring that back home and remind people that freedom is not free.
So 444 days, your hometown sweetheart, Jill, that you referenced there. When guys are out of town, people that travel, I've got friends that travel and they've got family, and it's upsetting for them to leave on a Monday and come back on a Friday. And back then, I mean, you guys had no communication. So is it just in your head, is she okay back home? I mean, just how mentally trying, and did you guys have conversations when you got back about those 444 days, what was going through your head and her head?
We still have it, Lance, to this day. Whenever something happens, Jill says, Rocky, this is what it was like when you were over there. I mean, these poor hostages that are over there in the Middle East right now, I mean, trust me, you're not allowed to speak for the first 30 days plus. You're sitting tied to a chair. Thank goodness I had the upbringing of growing up in a small town of Crockwell, Missouri. Population 50, dogs and cats included. And I used to sleigh ride down Aholtz Hill. I sat in that corner and I relived my past, eating my mother's pancakes that I remember smelling right there in the corner of the room. Of all the wonderful things, that first Thanksgiving, my mother making the turkey, I'm going through all this in my head. And thank goodness I had that, because that's what kept me alive. My parents taught me 3 things: love of family, love of faith, and love of country. And those 3 things kept me alive.
As Chris says in our chat room, as a paramedic, I'm extremely grateful that Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light, and Folds of Honor does this for our veterans and a first responder. He's a paramedic. He says thank you. For so many people who are watching, we know what Anheuser-Busch and companies like them do to help Folds of Honor. Can people, general citizens, help out? How can they help?
Yes. Well, right now, Bud Light came to the table with $3 million for a special window for providing scholarships to our first responders, those 2 million children and spouses. You can go to budlight.com /Folds of Honor and make a donation. That is, I'm sorry, not a donation. You can't make a donation. Bud Light's already done that, but they can apply now for a limited time window, those first responder children, spouses, to get a scholarship. And so we need to help continue to support them because they support us. You guys all remember 9/11?
Yes.
People were running away. Who was running in? Our first responders. They're heroes just like our military.
Yeah, and this is, again, not something new for Bud Light. You work for Anheuser-Busch. They've been involved with Folds of Honor for how long now?
13 years.
13 years, yeah.
$22 million plus.
Yeah. And the good news, too, is, as you mentioned, the NFL, who Bud Light is a corporate sponsor of the NFL, and they have partnered up to do this. That's one thing I will say about the NFL. They have always gone above and beyond to recognize the first responders in United States military that fight for our country, and they've participated in this as well.
It's incredible. I just flew in yesterday. I get to my hotel room, turn on the New York Jets, and watching and the commercials were coming through with the Bud Light, NFL. But yes, think about it, you guys. I mean, you would not be here if it wasn't for our freedom that we have.
Doubt.
And those first responders and our military providing the freedom. We live in an incredible country. And I'm telling you, that day of November 4th, when my freedom was stripped for 444 days, I had no idea. I was a young, naive kid. It wasn't until my freedom was stripped did I realize how important it was, what that American flag represents.
So family, faith, flag, and from those days to getting a job with Budweiser, and everything comes full circle. I mean, for you to get back involved with the military, I mean, it's pretty incredible. You gotta, I mean, that's something as a man of faith that you got to believe there was a calling for you.
Yeah, well, and again, this is where I was telling you, Lance. It's those 8 individuals, Operation Eagle Claws. We were talking about 8 individuals lost their life on an attempt to try to regain my freedom. Every morning, I wake up. I earn each day in memory of those 8. It's how do you forget it?
I mean, 40 years later, it's still
44
years later, still just as fresh for you.
I mean, can you?
I can tell by listening to you and looking at you. Yeah.
I mean, can you roll off those guys' names?
Not, when I get all turned upside down, it's my mind is just.
Have you had an opportunity to meet some of their families though?
No. Interesting enough, when we came home, some of the families were at the White House, but we didn't know it. They were sitting there, and shame on me, but eventually one of these days when I retire, I want to go back to each one of their hometowns, and I want to meet the families. I've been able to meet many of the guys that were on Operation Eagle Claw and hear their stories, you guys. It's stories that night of April 25th, that morning, when the CH-53 collided with the C-130, a big ball of flames. They thought they were under attack. Little did they realize a helicopter collided. One of the guys last year told me, he goes, Rocky, we ran up to the front of the airplane to look down underneath the 53 that was engulfed in flames along with the plane. You could see this young soldier crawling underneath. He was completely on fire, and there was nothing he could do. So the fire was so intense they couldn't get the remains of these guys. They had to get out of country. So they said, not only could we not get you, we had to leave our comrades behind. And that's when the Islamic Republic of Iran found that the United States was trying to attempt a rescue operation. They then moved all the hostages that were all in the American embassy that morning of April 25th. By that evening, we were all spread out to different cities within the country of Iran.
So, and obviously we're going to circle back, do a deep dive, and we'll let everybody know how we can access that. But the 444 days, is it true you only got 15 minutes outside total in 444 days?
7 times 15 minutes. So when I mean, trust me, I wake up in the morning, you guys, every day is like being in the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, I got a shower, I got a toothbrush, I got a bathroom. I don't have to knock on the door blindfold and go to the restroom. But yeah, it was after being tied to a chair, we were then put into a room about the size of this room right here, where we spent 400 days. We went outside 7 times, 15 minutes each time. And I mean, I did my sit-ups this morning. I don't do the 600 I used to do and the 300, but I used to do 600 sit-ups, Billy and I, where our back would be raw. It would be bleeding because you had so much hatred. I mean, and I'm a true believer, a Muslim is not born with hatred, they are taught hatred. These individuals were taught that we were the great Satan, which is still taught to this day. And we wonder why you see all these demonstrations. It's because of that radical belief. But anyway, I used my exercises to really take the frustration away. But that was all that you had to do. And to go to the restroom, you had to knock on the door, put a piece of paper on the door. They'd come blindfold you and take you to the restroom.
Oh, my God. Foldsofonor.org is where you can go to learn everything about Folds of Honor. We have supported that charity since day one. Bud Light is an incredible supporter of that charity. It is, you see it everywhere. You see it on Anheuser-Busch cans. They've got T-shirts everywhere. Folds of Honor. And it's just an incredible organization that makes sure we do not forget the sacrifice of the United States military and first responders. Their children are often left behind, and Folds of Honor comes alongside them and make sure they are taken care of.
They do, and Ryan. They are one of our longest lasting founders of helping us. 13 years, $22 million. And again, if anybody wants to donate, they can go out to foldsofhonor.org and make a donation. And there's an opportunity to be a squadron leader for $13. And why 13? There are 13 folds to a flag, and each one of those 8 individuals received a folded flag, and they have that opportunity to make a donation.
Do that right now, foldsofhonor.org. Sergeant Sickmann is going to come back a little bit later on this afternoon. We're going to tape a deeper dive and release that out on all of our platforms.
Thank you, sir.
For those that don't get to see that and just see this, thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you guys for promoting Folds of Honor and Bud Light and the opportunity for first responder families to get an education.
Happy to do it. Happy to do it.
We'll have more coming up on the other side. Again, we'll be posting links on how you can help learn more about Folds of Honor and how you can help donate. Back in a moment on TNR.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at New Life Art. Daniel A. Moore has completed his original full-color oil painting honoring Bryce Young, Alabama's 4th Heisman Trophy winner. This painting depicts the memorable Heisman-worthy go-ahead pinpoint pass to John Mechie in the corner of the end zone as the Tide dismantled the vaunted Georgia defense in the SEC championship game this past year. Use code TNR for 15% off. You can order online at danielmooreart.com.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the Next Round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. you'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Want more of The Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
And part of this hour being brought to you by our friends at Legacy. LegacyCreditUnion.com/join is where you can go find out about extra cash that you may need handy pretty quick. Look no further than Legacy, and they'll be able to help you out with a loan that fits your lifestyle. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. Apply online today at LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. LegacyCreditUnion.com/join, federally insured by the NCUA. Also, a lot of holiday stuff going on with our friends at Legacy right there. LTD&B with you. Don't forget Thursday night, our friends at Bud Light and us back out at the Battery for Bud Light Game Night. The Battery in Homewood, 5 to 7 this week. A lot of other exciting stuff that is happening a little bit later on. After week 9 of college football, a little snow globe, the new college football playoffs come up tomorrow night. Rockstar, if you'll give me cut number 7, though. Got to ask you guys about Colorado. If you guys watch, I know you did watch UCLA and Colorado play, how their defensive line didn't put their hands in the ground. They were just moving around and ready to rush Shedeur Sanders. 7 sacks, 17 hits he took in the game. Got a shot, an injection at halftime to deal with the pain in the second half. It was hard. It was hard to watch. I mean, there are people that have cheered for this team from the get-go, cheered against this team from the get-go. But just as a guy who had a little bit on Colorado, cheering for them to stay within a 19.5 for a stake, but it was hard to sit there and watch them play the game because of the hits he was continuously taking in the contest.
Yeah, and you just watched it, and UCLA's got a really good defense. But I did watch it, Lance, thinking, my God, if he played at Georgia or a Michigan or somebody like that, I don't know what they would do to the poor kid.
I mean, UCLA completely dominated that game. Should have won the game by 35. Now, Colorado has a late backdoor touchdown there, but the 4 turnovers from UCLA killed them. But that Colorado offensive line is awful.
Here's Deion Sanders talking about that offensive line, and Prime can really put a shine on any part of that Colorado program except that offensive line. He's having a hard time continuing to motivate and talk that group up.
Specifically with the offensive line, I mean, what has to improve in that aspect besides from
the line? The line has to improve. It ain't no aspect. The line has to improve.
In terms of the big picture, trying to keep Shedeur upright, healthy, the overall.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. I'm going to paint it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. You've got 2 quality running backs, too. Alton McCaskill, who came over from Houston, and then you saw Dylan Edwards early on and what he was able to do, and those guys have been completely taken out of the game plan.
Oh, he is a stud running back, but you got to give it to Shedeur to continue to sit in there. And, I mean, he wasn't like dumping off the ball quickly at all. He was still trying to get routes downfield. And then the interceptions that Travis Hunter had, both of them were just unbelievable reads. It's a fun team to watch, even when they're losing football games. And I'm sure we'll see the ratings were through the roof because it was a contested game. I don't know if they win again, though.
Sorry, Lance, but I mean, one thing I'm concerned about, you got another month of football, and he's basically just still the offensive line. You're not on next year's team. The way this guy operates, like when I hear go get a new line, I assume I probably don't have a spot on next year's team.
But you know what? For one of those guys, probably, maybe 2, who knows, but it's an opportunity for these last 4 games to get it together, play better football.
That's the way you hope they view it. The other side of that, Lance, is I'm not going to be here next year. I'm out. And you start punching out. Now, I don't know that their line can get much worse. I don't know what's behind them.
Do you guys, I forgot what the number was, when David Carr went number 1 overall to the Texans. And then that next season, I think he was sacked like a high.
I thought it was 26. Is that crazy?
No, that's way low.
No, but I think that's low?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was 41. I don't know why I think that, but the reason I bring this up is right now Shedeur has been sacked 41 times this season. And that's not a 16-game season, by the way.
And it ruined him as a quarterback.
It did, yeah.
Well, yeah, they said he got very bad mechanics because he was having to get the ball out so quick.
And I would worry about that with Shedeur.
That was my point. I would wonder what it does to Shedeur if he can ever get over that down the road. Let's do our 4 downs today, brought to you by our great friends at Slice Pizza, bringing you 4 downs.
Hey, one more point on the Shedeur, though. It's amazing the kid has only thrown 3 interceptions this year.
That's right.
I mean, to have that kind of duress nonstop and to only turn it over 3 times, that kid behind a good offensive line is going to be really, really good. 4 locations, local pizza, local ingredients. Stop and see the Bajaya brothers. The late Jeff Bajaya created the incredible concept that is Slice. His brothers continue the legacy. Jason and Chris, get out, see them today. 4 locations and online, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Kansas State, Texas, LSU, Alabama. Those are 2 big games this weekend. Home team 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2 in that contest. On a Monday look ahead.
Right now, I will say 0-2.
So you think Kansas State and LSU can do it? Yeah.
Who knows? I just if Quinn Ewers was playing, it'd be a little bit different. I think it is good that Malik got a game under his belt. But I still think Kansas State, this is going to be a completely different team than he's seen with BYU.
So leading into Alabama, you still sort of feel, I mean, you felt like this earlier in the month of October that LSU would get Alabama. You still feel that way?
I did, and we'll see what happens here. I mean, you've got a great offense against a great defense. And I think it comes down probably the other side. Is it the so-called bad defense against the average offense? Which one of those 2 wins out?
I think Kansas State beats Texas, Alabama beats LSU. So I guess I'd say 1-1, right?
1-1.
To answer your question the way you ask it, 1-1, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a.
What about you?
It's a shake-up weekend. Right now, I would go both home teams win.
So you go 2-0 home team.
But I wouldn't. I wouldn't bet anything on it.
Wouldn't run to the window, would you?
I wouldn't bet anything on it for sure. Let's do
second down.
Second down here. Rockstar, to answer this question, give me cut number 8. I will tell you who Dan Lanning says is the best quarterback in college football. I'll give you guys time to think about it. But here's Dan Lanning, head coach of Oregon, after the win at Utah.
I want to say it again. Bo Nix is the best quarterback in the nation, just to be really clear. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And again, it's not just the plays he makes on the field, right? I think a lot of people can talk about chasing stats and all these things. This guy just plays consistent. He gets us in the right call. He comes to the sideline, helps us through adjustments. He tells us what he sees. And then he's an unbelievable person, right? And when you have a good team like we have, and we have a quarterback like we have, that's a special recipe for success.
Okay, and anybody can look at stats. Who's the best quarterback in the country?
Well, I don't think he's probably the 3rd best in the Pac-12.
Okay, that's why I'm asking the question.
Best quarterback right now is Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the country, according to you. You want to say more on that?
I mean, without Jaden Daniels, they're probably 4 losses already. There is nothing the kid can't do. He gets better and better. I was shocked at how good he was last year. He's even better this year. Look, Bo, it's been a great story, and I think for him to go out west, it's remade the image. He's a guy that probably gets drafted in the 1st round now, which is incredible in itself. But Bo still, and look, and I know Jaden Daniels has got a lot of talent around him. Bo's got a lot of talent around him. Bo could not. I don't know how you guys feel. He was an average quarterback in the SEC, right?
There's no doubt he was, yeah. That one in the interception column stands out. We are entering November. He has thrown 1 interception.
That's crazy.
That is nuts to think about now. 21 touchdowns, 1 pick. So he's making incredible decisions.
A month ago, everyone answered this question, usually with Michael Penix or Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I still think they're better quarterbacks.
Do you not? I don't know. Penix last 2 games against Stanford and Arizona State, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. Now, they scored plenty of points against Stanford. That was on their defense. But I mean, he's not played his best games against Stanford and Arizona State. Nix has just been consistent.
But if Caleb Williams has turned the ball over a lot.
Yeah, he's doing what I just talked about Shedeur. Caleb Williams, if you watch him, he is running for his life nonstop. And he still puts up really, really good numbers. If Caleb Williams had the protection that Bo Nix had,
yeah, I don't.
It'd be silly.
I don't think people are giving Jordan Travis enough credit either for what he's doing at Florida State.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We can remove Drake May from this conversation. You can't lose to the teams they've just lost to, Virginia and Georgia Tech.
I don't think we give Carson Beck enough credit.
I agree with you on that.
No, I was going to get to that. Carson Beck, here he was just moving along without Brock Bowers, his security blanket, and, throwing it to so many different people. Yeah, you could say that about Drake May and losing, but Drake May can't stop them from rushing 346 yards.
Yeah, Drake May's he really is in a Caleb Williams situation.
Yeah.
Like, those guys do everything they can to win, and I think they're going to be outstanding college quarterbacks. And when people start to say, well, they're not winning some of these games, well, let's go back. Pat Mahomes didn't win a lot of games. Jared Goff didn't win a lot of games in college.
They don't play defense. Let's do third down.
Third down.
Does Georgia set the SEC record for most consecutive wins? Forrester, I think you have a graphic that Taylor has sent of the all-time wins list here now. These are all overall wins, the SEC record. Georgia is at 25 now, slotted into behind Alabama, ahead of Tennessee. They've got 25 straight wins. So they have the longest win streak in the history of the SEC, not named Alabama. Do they get to 29 to break the Alabama record set twice at 28?
I think they do. This sounds weird, but Brock Bowers going out might be the best thing for them in the regular season. Like, I don't know if they can survive without Brock Bowers once they get to a SEC championship game, college football playoff, but I think it awoke everybody else. Like, all they were hearing is this team offensively cannot get it done without Brock Bowers. And I thought this past weekend was probably their best offensive performance I've seen this year.
Sort of refocused them a little bit. Brown, do you think they can get to 29?
Where are they right now, Jim?
25.
They don't get to 26.
So they don't beat Missouri this weekend. I can't wait to see the Brown Bandit tomorrow.
You may pick that game.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if Missouri beats them.
Brown Bandit may be bringing a lion and a tiger tomorrow as he picks the zoo.
Is there a new scoring system in place? Because the Brown Bandit would like to know that before tomorrow.
Maybe so. So. I haven't
Fourth
talked
down.
to LT yet. Finally, happy birthday, Ty Detmer. Happy birthday, Marcus Mariota. When it's all said and done, counting their pro career, who had a better career?
Mariota. Not even close.
Ty Detmer played a while in the pros,
Detmer was a better pro.
Ty Detmer, when he played for the Lions, had a game where he had 6 interceptions.
Yeah,
a lot of people struggle.
Yeah.
Coy Detmer was actually better than Ty in the NFL.
No, but I think Detmer was a better NFL quarterback than Marcus Mariota.
I don't think so. I mean, I think both were.
Neither one of them were great.
Yeah.
Well, Ty Detmer, Heisman finalist?
Won the Heisman.
Won the Heisman. So just like Marcus Mariota, won the Heisman.
Yeah.
So 2 Heisman winners there.
But I would say Marcus, but it's close. I mean, Ty Detmer in college was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Boy, they played those offenses. I mean, it was any quarterback playing those offenses.
But, the difference was, I don't know, Detmer probably won a Holiday Bowl, and Mariota played for a national championship.
Played for one. That's our 4 downs today, brought to you by our friends at Slice. Also today, our friends at Hemp Hill, bringing you best and worst of the weekend. We'll get to best and worst coming up in the final hour of the show. Tell us about our friends at Hemp Hill.
Yeah, right now for the month of October, 0% for 60 months for qualified customers, plus that free Wi-Fi upgrade, 10-year labor on any system replacement, and they can do the $69 fall tune-up. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Hard to stop a train, 205-229-2090. Tell them the next round sent you. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
Also, Krusty's right. Happy birthday to Henry Winkler, the Fonz from Happy Days. It's his birthday today.
Jeez, how old is Henry Winkler?
79.
70.
I was going to say 80.
7 or 78, depending on whether my birthday app updated or not.
I was just taking a guess.
Yeah,
I would say 79.
You're inside the window. Either way, that works. Before we talk to Joel Klatt about the games on the field this past weekend and coming up, he's in our next segment with us. I did want to mention the Wall Street Journal story that Michigan had an offer October 8th to make Jim Harbaugh, given to him October the 8th to make him the highest paid Big Ten coach, and they rescinded that offer on October the 10th because of this ongoing investigation and what is going on with the sign stealing investigation with the NCAA. Adam Rittenberg, off of that story, saying his sources are telling him it isn't rescinded. He was just told not to sign it, that it's been put on pause. So he's
seems like an important clarification. Which one is true, right?
Yeah. Well, put on pause. Don't sign it until we clear up this matter. If you sign it, we're just going to rip it up. So don't sign it yet. But it's on pause.
I don't think they know what to do.
I don't think they do either. It is weird when you see a story that says your sitting head coach may be the number 1 team in the country tomorrow night, though I don't think their schedule is going to be rewarded. I think they'll be somewhere 2 to 4, but they'll be a playoff team the last 2 years, and they'll be in the rankings again. But to have your coach headline saying offer was extended and then rescinded, according to the Wall Street Journal, that's an odd odd situation Michigan finds themselves in.
I mean, I personally believe if they are outside of the top two, it looks like the committee is really, I don't know, wanting to punish them is the phrase I want to use.
I won't tell you where I've got them, but I think they're the best team in college football, but I think they're going to be outside of the top two.
And do you think that's indicative that the committee is like?
I think a lot of it is schedule. I think the committee can easily tell themselves it's schedule right now.
Right.
But I think there is something to that.
Yeah, and we've
a lot
seen
of football guys on that committee.
Since 2014, we've seen it, though, early on. They use this first one to sort of send a message about scheduling, and then it matriculates all the way down until you get the four best teams.
But they also inform you the way they're thinking by, we always talk about this, you pay attention to the top of the poll. If you want to know the way they're really thinking, look at the bottom of the poll. Because a lot of times they sneak some teams in that you're like, boy, how did so-and-so end up there? Well, it's because they really like so-and-so number one, but they got to have some ranked wins for them. Now, you can't do that with Michigan. There's not really anybody they could sneak in there for Michigan to support putting them number one.
Rutgers is the only one right now receiving votes.
Yep, only one close. They could sneak in. If they have Rutgers at 25, you'll know.
Yep, if they have Rutgers in the top 25 tomorrow night, they sneak them in there. They're building a case for the schedule down the road.
Well, and Penn State's got Rutgers coming up too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan are going to be there. If they start backfilling with an Iowa or somebody like that, then you're going to be like, oh, they're making a case for their Big Ten team.
But I was looking at no chance November teams that there's no chance they can win out. And I was looking at Penn State because I think they lose to Michigan, but Rutgers is sitting there.
Yeah.
I think Penn State might have another couple losses.
Another couple losses there. All right, so that's where we are on the Michigan situation. We'll see when the rankings come out. Before we do that tomorrow, we will tomorrow night we will at some point let you see how we have the rankings at this point. Klatt talking football with us. He had a wild one this past week. He got to see Bo Nix in Oregon up close, Oregon and Utah. And the big noon kickoff this week is headed, well, you know where they're headed, deep in the heart of Texas, Kansas State and Texas. We'll talk to Klatt coming up on the other side. The show being brought to you in part by our friends at Way to Wellness. One of the best things I decided a few months ago, in fact, was to team up with Leslie and her board-certified team to not only drop some weight, but to get some life-threatening blood pressure and cholesterol numbers in check can be sometimes controlled by your diet. And that's what I did with Way to Wellness. I learned by going to this website, aplanforme.com, that they do not have a cookie-cutter plan. They will design a plan for me. For me, it was about blood pressure and cholesterol. What can I do? The weight can just be secondary. What can I do about blood pressure and cholesterol? And they designed a plan that helps me manage that through my diet. You can find out what your goal is and find out what they can do for you by going to aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. No contract, no sign-up fee, and your consultation, because you're watching the next round, is absolutely free. Again, the website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Red Wing Shoes is pleased to announce the Ultimate Fit and Comfort Savings event during the month of October. Mention the next round and receive a special discount of up to $30 off. Visit your local Red Wing Shoe store in Pelham or Trussville to have your feet electronically measured. A certified fit specialist will then recommend the proper footwear and orthotic to ensure you receive a comfortable pair of boots or shoes. So be prepared as the fall weather begins to change. Enjoy a pair of classic Red Wing Pecos pull-ons, Heritage Iron Rangers, or Vask hiking boots from Red Wing.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com. legacy.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Part of our show today being brought to you by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision. Michelson Laser Vision. Tell us about the MLT.
Yeah, make that phone call today. The phone call that I made over 2 decades ago, 205-969-8100. I was legally blind without the aid of contacts. Now 2015 vision better than 2020. Call 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell the Next Round sent you. They're going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. For more information, MichelSonLaserVision.com.
We're going to get to our storyline here today, our big college football storyline in our spotlight in just a second. I will tell you that we do have Game 3 of the World Series tonight, tied 1-1. Rangers and Diamondbacks in Arizona, Game 3 on Fox tonight. If there is a Game 7, that'll be in prime time on Saturday night, and Fox will carry that on main Fox. If there's not a Game 7, then BYU West Virginia will bump from FS1 to main Fox on Saturday night. But if there is baseball, you'll see BYU and West Virginia. All that is taken into account there on our worksheet this week for Week 10. But a lot of great games happening this weekend, not only in the SEC, but around the country. And we'll talk about that in our storyline today, which is brought to you by our friends at Moore's Marinade. Tell us about Moore's before he hits the big button.
Hey, listen, Moore's, we used that wing sauce over the weekend, that honey barbecue wing sauce, when I was watching the games Saturday night for dinner. So good. A buddy of mine was over, and he was like, man, this stuff is incredible on wings. He even called me back Sunday. He was like, man, those wings were great. I'm going to go get some of that Moore's. I said, you need to, man. That wing sauce is amazing. It is great on anything as well. You can put it on chicken fingers, burgers, sandwiches, pizza, pasta, tacos, fries, and more. Don't forget the marinade as well. It's a lower sodium marinade, lower than the leading lower sodium marinade. You could use it on anything, burgers, chicken, steak, pork, even veggies. That is Moore's Marinades and Wing Sauces. You can get recipe ideas. You can get grilling inspiration. You can see more online, mooresmarinades.com. That is mooresmarinades.com.
The College Football Spotlight. College football's biggest storylines.
For me, I will go with the fact that the ACC is down to just Florida State with what has continued to happen there. And Florida State's remaining schedule at Pitt, home to Miami, North Alabama, at Florida, ACC championship game, possibly against Louisville at this point.
Well, and that's why I would agree with you realistically they're down to Florida State, but I guess if Louisville won out, there's a scenario that would, with a Notre Dame win and a Florida State win, would have them in this thing. So they're still alive. It's not realistic, but they are at least alive.
I just don't think out of conference Louisville would rise up to beat a one-loss Big Ten, one-loss Big 12, one-loss Pac-12 to have the ACC included. Somebody's getting left out. Remember, every year somebody gets left out. I don't think Louisville would rise up. It's down to Florida State, in my opinion.
They've at least got a Notre Dame win out of conference.
But I do think, there's still tricky games. Miami can't get out of their own way, but they've still got the talent where they could beat Florida State, and the same with Florida.
I don't think either one of them can. It's easy path for Florida.
They do have the easiest
Clemson
path.
did everything they could to not win that game. Clemson sucks.
Clemson.
Dabo is done.
What do you mean Dabo's done? He's going to get fired?
No, I'm just saying he's never going to be in the championship conversation again.
The ACC or the national championship?
National championship.
Will he make a 12-team college football playoff?
I don't know. I don't know if he makes a bowl this year.
Yeah, but what about moving forward? If he's
I don't know.
He's done, does he make a 12-team playoff?
I really wish I knew like how in he is with everything going on right now.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't seem like it.
4-4 and still possibly some more losses coming.
Yeah,
down the road. Bad loss for them to NC State this past weekend. Storyline for you.
I touched on it, the precarious position of the Big 12 right now when your champion could be one-loss Oklahoma and that one loss is Kansas. When you start, like you just talked about, comparing with other one-loss teams, and you got a loss to Kansas, that's tough there. And now Texas playing Kansas State this week. Precarious situation for the Big 12.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go too. I think the Big 12's in trouble. I think after this weekend, every Big 12 team will have multiple losses. And I think there could be more coming for these teams.
Who's Oklahoma got this weekend? Oh, Bedlam. So you think they lose Bedlam too, yeah.
I mean, that will be, outside of what we'll get in Tuscaloosa, that might be the best atmosphere this week.
Yeah, and that's where Luganville is coming up this week. That's our storyline today. We'll talk to Joel Klatt. We're going to move him, get extended time in our next segment. Show being brought to you today by our friends at the University of Montevallo. If you're looking for a great place for your son or daughter to call home during their college experience, make it the University of Montevallo. Just go to montevallo.edu, and find out more about this great place that has 23 NCAA Division II fully funded scholarship sports and so much more, including a great campus life. Schedule an in-person tour right now and find out about their tuition as well. Great price point for what you get in an education. It's all at montevallo.edu, montevallo.edu.
Everything Alabama, all the time. Subscribe and set alerts at Roll Tide Pods on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
The Next Round store is live and loaded. Check out the latest logo t-shirts and hoodies. Get your favorite team colors, the Next Round flag shirt, or grab the popular Y'all Can Have the Rest t-shirts. Go to nextround.store. That's nextround.store.
What are you waiting for? It's non-stop gaming action at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Come play more than 900 of the latest and greatest games around, featuring fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can wager and win on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. There are more ways to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Birmingham Racecourse Casino, located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. You'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails. And don't forget about that 29-degree man-sized drafts. It's Twin Peaks at the Patton Creek Shopping Centers.
You want to look great while supporting your favorite show? You know the place to go is the official Next Round store at nextround.store. Yes, there are .store domains, and we have one. From shirts to hoodies to hats and all kinds of fun stuff, you can rep the Next Round anywhere you go. At the beach, Next Round hats to block out that sun. Up north in the winter, get you a comfy Next Round hoodie. Just need something to put your $20 beer in at a game? Get you a Next Round koozie and throw that thing in your pocket. You never know what stuff Jim's going to make me put in there next. Check it out. It's the Next Round store at nextround.store.
thought maybe it was Iowa, Minnesota. But Iowa Northwestern opened last night at 29.5 as a total, which if that holds when it kicks would be a modern-day record for the lowest total. And then back to the Big 12 for a second. Sneaky Iowa State back in the race for the college, for the Big 12 championship. Iowa State all of a sudden playing possible championship football coming up later in about a month.
29.5.
That's where it opened.
It's disgusting.
If they play that game in my backyard.
Disgusting.
Klatt, it is disgusting, Klatt. 29
That was so
and a half.
good. The reason I'm laughing so hard is because in the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself, gross. And then Lance just drops the disgusting.
Klatt joins us each week courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on for that 110% sign-on bonus. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. They got a good one Saturday in the Big Noon Kick. Kansas State at Texas. Hugely important Big 12 game we will discuss with Klatt coming up. But let's first rewind. If Dan Lanning had played it by the book, I think there's a chance Oregon's the number one team in the college football playoff when it's announced. They're not going to be, but they might be the best team in the country right now.
Man, I was really impressed with them. You know, I think I've told you guys this. And this is it is such a bummer. Not for the fans down there, because you guys hate me anyways, but I just lament the fact that I don't get to be around the team on game week. I get such a better feel once I can do a game, be around coaches, talk to players, because you get a sense for everything. It's not just the film, you know? I can watch Georgia on film and be like, boy, they're really good. But you don't get a real sense for what they are. I can watch Michigan. You don't get a sense for what they are. Ohio State, same thing. And so now I've had the chance now within the last, call it 8 months, 9 months, to call Oregon's bowl game and see that iteration of Oregon, and then now see this iteration of Oregon. Oregon's freaking good, guys. They're really, really good. And I think that the difference is, and this is what people I think down in your area would probably maybe not realize, but appreciate, is the fact that Dan has built them to mirror what those teams in your all conference do. And that is big physical defensive tackles that can rotate through, stop the run, edge rushers that produce a hard edge. They're big and they're physical and they're long, hybrid style linebackers and safeties that can all run. They're tough, they're hard nosed. And then on the offensive side, they've got a really good offensive line that handled Utah. Utah's the best defense in the Pac-12 for the last 3 years. And they are that because of their defensive line. They're littered with 300-pounders up front. Here's Utah's interior right here on my board. 295, 310, 300, 310, 330. Oregon just handled them like it was no big deal. They've got the best back maybe in the country in Bucky Irving, certainly in the Pac-12. They've got playmakers on the outside. Troy Franklin is the least talked about great wide receiver in America. And Bo Nix is playing as well as he's ever played before, as efficient as anybody in the country. He can do it with his legs, makes great decisions. He's accurate. Oregon's going to win the Pac-12, and I think they're going to the playoff. And they're dangerous because they are built the correct way. Dan has built them in the image of Georgia, in the image of Alabama. And I think that's the difference from what Oregon has been, let's say, for the last 20 years, which is a really good competitive program, but one that once it got to that level struggled with the physicality of Ohio State or Auburn or, those teams in the biggest matchups on the biggest stage. That they weren't ready from a blueprint perspective. This team is ready from a blueprint perspective, and they're really good.
We just heard the soundbite from Dan Lanning on the best quarterback, in his opinion, in all of college football. Of course, is his guy, Bo Nix, and I think you can make that argument. But you mentioned that offensive line. To go on the road to Rice-Eccles, and Utah did not have one sack. I just said if you gave Caleb Williams that offensive line, he was running for his life against Cal. I mean, how good would Caleb Williams be with Oregon's offensive line?
Yeah, this is where it's Bo's playing the best of anybody in the country, but it's another thing to say he's the best quarterback in the country. Not to disagree with Lanning, and I know that's a technicality. I think we all know that like Caleb's more talented. Drake May's more talented than a Bo Nix. But Bo is playing as well as anybody in the country. That's certainly the case. And part of that is the offensive line. He's only taken 4 sacks this year. He only took 5 last year. That's 9 sacks in basically 2.5 seasons.
That was a good Saturday for you.
You ain't, bro. Hey, you ain't lying. My biggest asset as a player was I was stupid enough to be like the clown with sand in the bottom, where it's just like you could hit me as hard as you could, and I would just come right back for more, like just a moron.
I mean, that's
like,
Shedeur right now, but I mean, how good would Shedeur be with this offensive line?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And to your point, and this is a rebuilt offensive line. This is not like an offensive line that they all played together last year and then now it's an extension of last year. It was a rebuilt offensive line. They got the very good, probably the best lineman in the transfer portal. It's their right tackle, Johnny Cornelius, the kid from Rhode Island. And then they've supplemented it with development. They've got young players in there, sophomore, Jackson Powers Johnson, the center. He learned from last year, and Alex Forsyth, who was so good in the interior a year ago, kind of raised him in there. Yes, the offensive line is really good. They can run it, but I would say that in my estimation, protection is at least 50% quarterback play and decision-making. Part of the reason, now maybe not in Shedeur's case, when it's basically like he's not playing with an offensive line, but Bo makes great decisions really quickly. And that system gets the ball out of his hands really quickly. And Oregon's really good, guys. I thought, I was as impressed with them as I was anybody. And I said on my podcast, they're in the top 2 of teams I've covered this year. Them and Michigan are the 2 best teams I've covered this year. I've covered Ohio State. Ohio State is very good, but this Oregon team is different. And you're right about the Washington game because they outplayed Washington that day. You look at, like, for instance, guys, I think that we fail to realize, like, they outgained Washington in that game by over 100 yards. You kicked the field goal right before half, and this is the only decision that he and I talked about that he wanted back was the one before half. He should have taken the points. He was fine with the 4th and 3 to end the game, and candidly, I am too. What they all lament, including Will Stein, the offensive coordinator, is the play call on the 4th and 3 at the end. See, it's one thing to go for it. It's another thing to call the correct play and then execute the correct concept. Will knows that. He's really a young offensive coordinator and a good offensive coordinator. You don't roll Bo Nix to the left and cut off 3/4 of the field. He's a senior. He's not even a senior. He's like an 87-year veteran. And so you give him the full field, right? Like, he's started 55 games now. He's the most experienced player in the history of this position in our sport. You give him a full field read, including the ability to run with his legs. And if they would have done that, maybe they win that game.
Listen, I understand. We play the games for a reason. And I agree with you. I think Oregon's better than Washington. I think Texas is better than Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And I think Michigan is light years ahead of Ohio State. But let's give Ohio State a little love, man. That defense, they've won 4 games this year when they haven't scored more than 24 points. And that is not the Ohio State defense we'd come to know over the last couple of years. That defense is a little different right now.
Okay, so Ohio State fans, I don't know if they're like Bama fans, but man, they just like lament always. We're not this, we're not that. I can't believe, why aren't we, like, unless they're the most dominant team in history, they're just not happy. Okay. And I went through this whole exercise, on today's show. Okay, so Ohio State is number 2 in the country in scoring on one side of the ball, and number 38 in the country in scoring on the other side of the ball. Now, the last 3 years, that was understandably, like, we knew number 2 in offense, number 38 or so or worse in defense. And guess what? That didn't work, guys. It didn't work. For 3 years, they've been a quarterback-reliant, offensive-reliant team. And it didn't work. It didn't work against Michigan. It didn't work against Georgia, as close as those games were in some regard, in particular the Georgia game. And you can say, like, hey, they probably should have won Georgia. Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't because they couldn't get stops. They kept giving up big plays late in that game. And so now you flip it. They're the number 2 scoring defense in the country, number 38 scoring offense in the country. They are a defense that gets stops. They are an offense that's starting to run the ball better. Did you see how much more they controlled the line of scrimmage with Travion Henderson back and the offensive line developing than they had earlier in the year? And they're nursing along Kyle McCord, bringing him along. He'll get Ibuka back here in the next couple of weeks versus an offense that can do it all the time and nursing along a defense. My point is exactly in line with you. If you're an Ohio State fan, wouldn't you rather this equation? Because the other one didn't work and hasn't worked for 3 years. So maybe this is a better version. Even though they're not quite as dominant as what we've seen over the last few years, maybe this version is better suited to go win against Michigan. Maybe this version is better suited to go and compete in the playoff, in particular if they can get McCord to play just a little bit better, which I think that he can to some extent.
Joel Klatt is with us. He joins us each week courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round. When you sign on at MyBookie.ag, get that sign-on bonus of 110% free money to play right away right there at MyBookie.ag. Code next round to get that sign-on bonus. Code next round. Saturday, Klatt will be at what could be Game 1 of the Big 12's national championship nightmare scenario. Texas, Kansas State. Texas, Klatt with a backup quarterback. Kansas State is red hot. You follow that up with Bedlam on ABC at 2:30. A Texas and an Oklahoma loss pretty much wipes the Big 12 out here.
I tell you what, man, this is what's so crazy is I heard what you guys were saying right before I came on, and you're right. Like, there's Iowa State 4-1 in the conference. Like yes. Randomly, Oklahoma State 4-1 in the conference. They've found their footing. Oklahoma State is a different team than the team that got blown out by 1,000 to South Alabama. I know that's like, it's weird to say, but they are much better. They're running the ball really well, Oklahoma State. And you look at this, and you're exactly right. I'm looking at these scenarios, and I'm like, what prevents us from seeing an Oklahoma State win this week and a Kansas State win, and then seeing those two in the Big 12 championship game, which 3 weeks ago would blow our mind. Yeah. We watched Red River. Oklahoma wins. We all think like, well, we're still pretty positive about Texas, to your point. I thought that was a rematch for sure. The rest of the conference was just like, they're no good and it's not going to work out. And then here we are. And candidly, I kind of like Oklahoma State in that game. Think of the environment up there in the last Bedlam against the team that they've hated anyways and who they feel like blew up their conference, left them for dead. Oh my gosh, guys, it's going – T-Boone, that place is going to be on fire. And we look at how Oklahoma just played last week. Plus, OU has reverted back to 2022. So last year, they did not play very good defense, which is why they were constantly in one-score games. The first 5 games of this year, it looked like that was fixed. They were giving up 11 points per game. In the last 3 games, Texas, UCF, Kansas, they're giving up 32 and about 450 yards per game. Guess what they gave up last year? 30 points, 460 yards per game. They're the exact same defense that was constantly in those one-possession games last year. 6 of them, they lost most of those games last year. Now we're seeing them in those one-possession games again. I don't love where Oklahoma is at right now. And then from a Texas perspective, I think Kansas State is the most dangerous team in the conference because of how well coached they are, the fact that they've figured out this dual quarterback system, and now Texas has got to roll out there with their backup Malik Murphy, who yes is talented, but he's a backup quarterback. Like no one wants to go out there and do that. I'm reminded a lot of last year, and this isn't even Texas A&M wasn't even as quality an opponent as K-State, but you remember when Milroe had to start for Bryce Young and the struggle that Alabama had in that game in order to beat A&M, and that it feels as similar to that. Although Kansas State is certainly a better and more sound opponent than that A&M team was a year ago.
Joel, I think a lot of people forget that Kansas State is your reigning Big 12 champion based on the fact that TCU actually played for a national championship team. But Chris Kleiman, what he's got going, and I hate dual quarterbacks, but this Will Howard, Avery Johnson thing is working. You go back a month ago, they were sitting at 3-2, and they had just lost to Oklahoma State. And I was thinking to myself, because I thought they could be a dark horse to make a college football playoff run this year, I was like, damn, that's a bad loss. But when you look back, that was Ollie Gordon's coming out party. That's when Oklahoma State completely changed their offense. And now you look back, the last second loss to Missouri on the road and a one possession to Oklahoma State, those aren't bad losses now. This Kansas State team, I agree with you, super dangerous.
That's right. And at the time, we thought like, man, like, why can't you beat Missouri? Missouri's what, 7-1?
Yeah.
Man, why can't you beat Oklahoma State? Well, this is a totally different Oklahoma State team, and you're right. Ollie Gordon is on fire right now running the football. And so those look a lot different right now than what they did at the time. I've said this about the dual quarterback system. I've come around a little bit. You know, I think it's too archaic of us to just be like, can't work. Because if the two fulfill different roles within the offense, then I think it works, and it just expands what the defense has to cover and be responsible for. And I think that's in part why this is working for Kansas State.
I don't think there's a scenario where you could do this, but Florida State looks like they're on cruise control to be unbeaten in the ACC. Is there a one-loss Pac-12 or a one-loss Big 12 champion that could get left out if Georgia and Michigan are unbeaten and Florida State's unbeaten? I mean, there's no way we leave out an unbeaten Power 5 champion, right, to put in a one-loss. That may have, I mean, a one-loss Pac-12 champion would have played a tougher schedule.
Well, and remember, though, with the way that LSU has bounced back, that's going to really help Florida State. Obviously, Clemson nosediving doesn't help them at all. Man, by the way, we could do a whole show on just Clemson. Like, what in the world? But anyways, I digress. An undefeated Power 5 champ's not getting left out. That doesn't. So it becomes, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Oregon and Texas are your Pac-12 and Big 12 champs with one loss. Oregon's going to go over Texas, even with Texas's win over Alabama. And maybe it's just, and it's not even wishful thinking on my part. It's just like at some point they're going to look at that conference and say that road was just way more difficult than what Texas was going through in the Big 12, even though the Big 12 has become much tougher now with all these teams, 5 teams, 4-1 in the conference. We've known the entire season that this conference in the Pac-12 is really, really tough. It's bearing out and how tough it is to win every single week. So and maybe this is just recency bias on my part after seeing them, I don't think you can turn on the film and say that a one-loss Oregon, because it probably is a team that avenges their loss, right? That's like Washington probably gets back to the Pac-12 championship game, and if they were to win that one, then it's like, okay, you beat the team that beat you. We understand that you outgained them by 100 yards in their building, didn't go your way, ball bounced a little bit differently at the end than you wanted it to. Maybe I'm overthinking this with Texas's win over Alabama, but I just think Oregon would win that argument.
I agree.
All right, Klatt will be at Kansas State, Texas. Will you find a way to watch Bama LSU primetime? I don't know what your travel is after a game.
Oh,
like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a United guy because I grew up in Denver, and most of the planes, like, you can stream YouTube TV.
Right.
You know, you get on the internet and stream YouTube TV. So I'll be watching that for sure. I can't wait to see that one. I know
who
guys
wins?
that I've been. You don't want to ask me that.
So Klatt's on LSU.
I think LSU wins, man. Yeah. Like, I just don't know if Bama has the offensive firepower to keep up. If you tell me that Bama can hold LSU to under 32 points, then Bama's got a chance. I just don't know if they can do that. Maybe they can. You know, but
what if I told you it was 22? What if they held them under 22?
They'll win.
Yeah, I would hope.
Bama's going to score. I think Bama's going to score between 24 and 28 points. And so, like, now it's on the defense, and you've got to find a way to keep that. I mean, that offense is it's really good, guys. It's really good. Their defense is terrible, obviously, but Daniels is playing really well, and I'm a big fan. I mean, Neighbors is really. So this is a better offense than Texas. Let's just put it that way.
How does Daniel stay healthy?
I don't know. How does Shedeur Sanders stay healthy? I don't get it.
That was hard to watch, man. That was hard to watch.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. And everyone's like, Dion can't say that about an O-line. Really? Really?
And it's made worse that it's his son. I don't know if he would deny that or not, but as a father, watching your son take that beating is even more intense than watching a quarterback take that beating.
We started this off with Lance just saying the word disgusting.
Yeah.
Different subject. The Colorado offensive line is disgusting.
It is.
I watch them on film. Their schematics, their effort. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I was watching that game, and if it was boxing, they would have stepped in.
No doubt.
And stopped the fight.
Yeah.
They would have stopped the fight. The game was close, but he was taking a beating.
Yep.
They would have stopped the fight.
Yep.
Yeah, the two guards, both the guards for Colorado should be, just like embarrassed. Just so embarrassed. Like, I don't understand how you don't have more pride than that. Bite somebody, hold somebody, chop them, do something.
Ball down and trip them.
Yes, like leg whip them. Force them to throw the flag. I mean, just the amount of olays, they're bullfighting in there, and it's just disgusting.
All right, he is Joel Klatt. You will see him on the Big Noon Kick, Kansas State at Texas, 11 o'clock Fox on Saturday. He's with us each week, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Thank you very much, Klatt.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.
All right, buddy. You too. Take care. Klatt with us. As I said, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Still, code next round for that 110% sign-on bonus at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag.
Also, by our friends at Hydra Live today, LT, an opportunity to get by there and get ready for this huge weekend coming up in college football. Big games in every window coming up.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, all under one roof. They're open 7 days a week. 2 locations around us, one in Greystone, one in Homewood, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you can't make it to Hydra Live, not a big deal. A nurse can actually come to you. For more information, HydraLiveTherapy.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Hydra Live Therapy. And remember, mention next round at checkout. You're going to save 20% off any service. Again, mention next round at checkout.
At the end of the game, when NC State beat Clemson, Dave Doran referenced Steve Smith, former Carolina Panther great, who was on game day and called NC State a basketball school. And we can't show you the broadcast for broadcasting rights, but he basically said he could kiss my ass.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
And so Dave gets asked about those comments in his post-game news conference.
Heard you had a pretty passionate response to the comments that NC State was just a basketball school. How are you feeling about that now still?
Yeah, I mean, for a guy that lives in Charlotte, he's got his head faced west to Utah all the time, which, I understand. And no disrespect to him, but he disrespected our program. And I'm not going to let people do that. These kids have worked their butt off. We've won a lot of football games here. And in my tenure, I think we're second or third in the ACC in wins in football. So, he can take that and put it where it belongs. But this is not a basketball school. This is a great, great school that has great sports, and football is one of them. And so, yeah, if he wants to come see me, we can talk about that. But, do your homework before you start talking shit.
Wow, I can't believe he got that upset. I mean, it was just – he's a guest picker. Steve Smith's a charismatic guy who, by the way, has been drugged through the mud a lot on some of his comments this year. But they're not a basketball school. I think Steve Smith does need to check that. They've got one win over the last decade in the NCAA tournament. They're just an average school at pretty much everything.
Yeah, that to your point is they're not a football school or a basketball school. They're pretty average at all of it. I was interested to get your take on this because I enjoy great sound, but you're an opinionated guy, and Steve Smith is just, we got to stop getting upset for people giving their opinions on opinion shows.
And he was trying to be funny.
Right. He was just making a pick about it. He's got to pick one side or the other.
I think he technically actually said their fans have already started thinking about basketball season. I don't even think he called them a basketball school.
Yeah.
I just think when it got back to Dave Doran, they had been called a basketball school. So I don't know. It was weird that Dave Doran got that upset about it. Like in the post-game interview with CW, that was one thing. He's had time to cool off and look back and think, hey, we just beat the ACC standard bearer for the last decade and I would imagine, field, and he's still upset about it.
I would imagine Steve's pretty popular in Carolina because he's the greatest Panther, one of them.
He's one of the top 5 Panthers of all time, not even close, and he lives right there in Charlotte.
Yeah. To see Kirby to do what he did with Dan Mullen, half joking, but to even reference that, you have to make a pick. I mean, you're being asked to make picks.
Yeah.
We make picks on this show and comments all the time. People get upset about it. I understand, but
I'm just
that position is weird.
It just cracks me up. Like, I don't care if Dave Doran goes after Steve Smith or not. I really don't care. It just cracks me up how all these coaches like, I don't pay attention to the newspaper or talk radio or sports talk or TV. I don't listen to any of that stuff. And then when push comes to shove, they always end up hearing the one that they need, right?
Yeah.
They just conveniently hear that one little piece of motivational tool that they need.
Yeah. In fact, sure at some point this week, Joe Klatt's comments will be playing in the Alabama bathroom. No way Alabama can stay on the field with LSU. I think is what Klatt said, right?
I don't think he said no way.
Alabama shuts down the program.
Not man enough to play with LSU's offense is what I heard. Our friends at Wayne's, for the past 50 years, Wayne's Pest Control has been serving their communities by doing what they love to do, and that's providing world-class pest control and termite protection to those they care about the most, their loyal customers. Whether you're a loyal customer for a week or for 50 years, or if you want to become a new customer, you visit this website, callwaynes.com, callwaynes.com, and you can enjoy $50 off pest control or termite protection if you go to callwaynes.com. Now, again, that's new and existing customers. You can enjoy that there. They've also got mosquito services in the spring and summer. They got lawn care services year-round that are so important right now to get the nutrients in the ground. Get details and get that discount by going to callwaynes.com, callwaynes.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
Start your day online at nextroundlive.com. Get all the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. And it's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Spring weather is here, and our friends at Hemp Hill Services are offering a $69 HVAC tune-up plus 10% off any service call when you mention the Next Round. Call Adam, Chad, and the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemp Hill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Hemp Hill Services. It's hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com. That's 205-229-2090, hemphillservices.com. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, brombergs.com. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations: Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, we go to the final hour here. Trash later on. Enjoyed our guest today. You can go back and get any of them podcasted wherever you get our podcast, and also our video there at Next Round on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to go over and enjoy Disrupt the Media as well. All the extra programming there. This hour of the show being brought to you in part by our friends at Champy's, world famous fried chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Sterling and the crew at Champy's. There to offer up a great lunch. Open now for about 4 minutes on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Deep Southern fried chicken, Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, and those hand-cut chicken fingers, and so much more. See the full menu and get ready for your tailgate this weekend at champyschicken.com. champyschicken.com. Couple of things to get to before we get back into college football. First off, the NFL does so many good things. They do so many good things, and I love it. And then they are petty in some ways.
Okay.
Petty in this sense. The Houston Cougars had a retro uniform this year, tribute to the old Houston Oilers.
It was a good-looking uniform, too. I thought.
And you'll never see it again. The NFL has sent a cease and desist to the Houston Cougars, telling them that they not use it anymore, the Love You Blue uniforms. A cease and desist letter sent by the league called the end to the merch sales, promo campaigns, and others on social media posts, citing blatant copyright issues.
If I was La Tech, I would send the NFL a cease and desist. We've used this color scheme for years.
Also, if I was the Titans, I would keep that uniform. I'd take the old Derrick off and put a Titans logo on there, whatever the T or whatever is.
How in the hell?
Such a good-looking uniform.
Is Kentucky a place that quarterbacks go to die? I know Devin Leary didn't have a bad game this past weekend.
Will Levis.
That's amazing.
4 touchdowns.
Yep. Looked the part.
Looked really good. I mean, we need to eat some crow.
Well, let's tap the brakes.
We'll let it see how it plays out. But
let's let some defensive coordinators of the NFL break that tape down.
DeAndre Hopkins is back.
I hate to tell you this, but Ryan Tannehill was on the loser side of losers last night. He wasn't on the winner's side. Ryan Tannehill's done in Nashville.
Oh, no, he's done. I'm just saying.
He's on his way out. It's Will Levis's. It's the Will Levis era now.
Give defensive coordinators some time to break this guy down, and let's see if he can hold up. That's the big test.
Man Lunsford going to do? So he gives up the Titans.
That's right.
And he adopts San Francisco, who's now lost 3 consecutive games, and Mr. Irrelevant is playing like Mr. Irrelevant.
That's right. He started to try to do too much.
2 interceptions his whole career, 5 in the last 3 games.
That's right. Again, you let these defensive coordinators break a guy down, they start to find their weaknesses, and the road gets a little bit tougher on these young quarterbacks.
Not on Joe Burrow, though. My gosh.
Well, no, I mean, that's how you tell great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and it remains to see if Tua is going to be great or Justin Herbert is going to be great. But these young quarterbacks, defensive coordinators have had time to figure them out. And guess what? They're still out there throwing for a lot of yards.
The Bengals started 1-3. You know, kind of a controversial one on that Monday night. They would have been 0-4 if they would have lost that game to the Rams. But I will not be surprised at all if you were to tell me the Bengals win the Super Bowl.
Do you think Dunaway still has that little sheet of paper where he wrote down when you and I said they would not make the playoffs?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that team is on fire.
It was shocking that y'all said that.
Yeah, we did say it. Lance and I said they would not make the playoffs.
Especially as much as one of you loves Joe Burrow.
We're going to have to eat that crow.
Well, I mean, 1-3 is hard to climb out, especially when you're in the AFC. But they have climbed out.
Yeah, they've won 4 straight now, right?
I think they're 3 straight. I think they're 4-3.
Okay, I thought they were 5-3. Stan says, you're telling me the people that will not allow you to say the word super and bowl in order are petty about uniform
They'll protect those trademarks in the NFL. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah,
it's just wild that like the color scheme is what got Houston. It's not that they used the oil, Derek. It's just the color scheme. Did they use the Love You Blue? Is that trademark? You think?
Yeah, I think they are saying Love You Blue.
Well,
in there.
now I could see that, but just the color scheme.
Yeah, I mean because that does not look like doesn't look like the Houston Oilers uniforms to me.
It does not.
I mean, more Louisiana Tech, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, that's not the Houston. I mean, that's as much the Houston Oilers as mine and LT's hats.
Yeah. I mean, I just
think the NFL is going to send us.
No,
something?
I don't think the NFL can. I don't think they can trademark a color, unless you're using the exact colors, like the Pantone, whatever it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talking about N3726.
So whatever it is,
which is exactly what we're doing here. The N3726.
It is it's a good uniform. The Titans should keep it.
Yeah.
I guess they own it now.
And the Seahawks had their throwbacks yesterday.
Lance, how good were those?
Our boy Brock Hewitt told us on Unlocked he pulled out the old school Seattle Seahawk helmet and put it on. They're incredible. I don't know why you don't keep those.
I agree. And we don't even have to mention Miami, right? I mean, everybody thinks you ought to keep those.
Yep. Watching that, I didn't know they were wearing the throwbacks. And watching that, I was like, oh, the guy standing behind Mike McDaniels has the old. He's brown. He's got the old school logo on. And then they cut to the game.
Everybody's got it.
I was like, oh, they're wearing the old helmets.
Yeah,
oh,
such a good uniform.
Yeah. And then I was watching, the other games. I was like, oh, that's an old uniform. That's an old uniform.
Did you see what Denver did after the win over Kansas City?
I did. Yes.
They
very
threw
good.
Russell Wilson into the river. What
No,
did they do?
they played Shake It Off.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
Gave over the whole stadium as loud as they could play it when the Chiefs were leaving the field.
That was a game of two. I don't like Sean Payton and I don't like the Chiefs, so I guess I wanted to see the Broncos.
Some quick other NFL thoughts after LT tells us about our friends at Bromberg's.
Since 1836, family owned and operated. We're about to roll into November, which means the holidays are extremely close. If you're looking for that great holiday gift, you can go online and shop right now at Brombergs.com. And if you're popping the question, you especially need to go see the Diamond Specialist at Bromberg's. 2 locations, Mountain Brook and the Summit. Nothing like giving or getting that silver box from our friends at Bromberg's.
By the way, Raiders and Lions tonight, 7:15 on ESPN. That's happening tonight.
We're going to Rockstars. Rockstar, you fired up for this one, Raiders?
At my schedule, I will not watch a play.
Not a play.
I'll be watching cartoons and trying to get somebody to sleep.
Yep.
Which was the more? I cannot believe this stat from the Giants and Jets game yesterday. The fact that there were more punts than points, 23 points, 24 punts, or that the Giants had -9 yards passing.
Well, to be fair, the Giants had to start Tyrod Taylor because of the Daniel Jones injury. He then gets hurt, and they are playing Tommy DeVito, and I think his first professional action at all.
Who I did not think was good enough to be Syracuse or Illinois' quarterback.
Well, even another stat, because I was listening on the way back after
you got some radio time.
Well, yeah. So right when the Rams lost, right when the game went final, I jumped in the car, and that's when Zach Wilson. I mean, the play I heard first was spiking, clocking it, and
very controversial, by the way.
And so they're able to bring in Zerline, kicks it, go to overtime. But I also heard this: 4 for 34 on third downs combined. Those two teams.
Terrible game. Tommy DeVito's your quarterback. Saquon Barkley was the emergency at that point. If DeVito had gotten hurt,
they should have tried him.
And I would have liked to have seen Saquon throw it because they wouldn't let DeVito throw it. That was a game, Dunaway, where and Lance and I were just talking about this, and poor Reed, who works up here, I jinxed them because I thanked him for beating the Jets before that game was over. This is a rare time in the NFL that I think the team that won the coin toss should have deferred. And the Giants won the coin toss, and they do what any NFL team does. They took the ball, and all they did was go 3 and out and give the Jets great field position. I would have deferred. Either team I would have deferred.
In my head, I was thinking defer.
I was too.
Right there with you. But what does that do to your offense if you defer?
And as I told Lance before the show, the offense
shows them the mirror, probably.
The offense had to know they sucked already.
Yeah. 2 other things quickly. You don't know what you got until it's gone. Great Cinderella song.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins done for the year, Achilles. That team was starting to click along fairly good, even without Justin Jefferson.
Because Jordan Addison a touchdown in 4 consecutive games. I mean, he picked up the slack.
But now Kirk Cousins is gone. That team's done.
Hey, I'll tell you this. If I'm a coach recruiting against Lincoln Riley and you've got a receiver going in the portal, I point out Jordan Addison last year didn't do anything. Dorian Singer has done nothing. So this is where portal receivers are going to die in USC. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But you think about how good Jordan Addison was 2 years ago and how good he's been this year.
And then USC year was the one bad year. He had a good year at Pitt, good year in Minnesota.
Production was cut in half when he played with the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I feel like when technology doesn't work, I feel like I'm the only person in the world that is experiencing it yesterday. And I cussed up and down a blue streak?
Yeah, you cussed a blue streak over
cussed
what?
a blue streak for about 20 or 30 minutes yesterday because I'm sitting down, I'm trying to watch football. I've got quad box here, got 2 games on. It's all the NFL. I got all the NFL games on, got a nice lunch ready. I'm sitting down watching. And my Sunday ticket's lagging, spinning. And I'm like, I've got the best internet money can pay for? How am I spinning? How do I have a spinning wheel? Turns out just so many people were trying to watch the Sunday Ticket. YouTube TV was having lagging problems.
I've always worried about this.
And it was a sequence of a lot of resetting, and it would kick me off of my quad box, and I'd have to reset it. It was driving me crazy.
So I had Miami. Of course, I had the Dolphins and the Patriots on my big screen, but my side screens were the Tennessee-Atlanta game and the Minnesota-Green Bay game, and the Minnesota-Green Bay game kept lagging. And I told my wife, Jennifer, had come down there to watch some of the Dolphins with me, and I'm like, I can't figure out why this one is just spinning. I was like, wouldn't they all spin if it were our internet? And the rest of them are fine.
It would, yes.
Yeah, but it turns out it was just over. So many people were trying to watch various games.
Yep.
And that was one of them.
Well, I got to get my internet back. Told there was a line cut during our Saturday morning broadcast.
Yeah.
And I got to figure it out. I think I'm going to Verizon today, though, unless people tell me not to. I've heard a lot of positive stuff on Verizon and this.
God bless the Verizon
fiber.
people.
Okay, give LT. Well, it's not fiber you're getting, right?
Well, it's some kind of cube.
Yeah, it's a cube.
But so Mark, one of our long-term listeners, who's now he was in Denver, now he's back in Birmingham. He said that he's able to plug the cube in, immediately worked, and he's able to run 6 TVs off that all stream.
What's feeding the cube, though?
Is your cell signal.
Is that over cellular?
I mean, I could pull it, whatever you said, but
I don't know why I'm asking.
Just for LT, would you folks, through your experience, before he tells us about Woodhouse Day Spa, would you rather have, and this is not a commercial and endorsement for either one, AT&T Fiber or the Verizon Cube? Just let us know in the chat room, Verizon Cube or AT&T Fiber, and hit that. Let us know about Woodhouse.
Yeah, I don't know how Mark, the Uzi, it works for him. It does not work for me. Uzi was one of the worst investments ever. Woodhouse Day Spa, though, that is a great investment this holiday season. Make sure you get in there, go see Stuart, Casey, all the fine folks there. Holiday season is here. Gift cards, so easy to come by. You can drop by the 280 location right there at the Summit, or you can order them 24/7 online at birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, and nail services. Stop in today, the Woodhouse Day Spa.
Yeah, I'll let you read those chats over there, and you make your decision.
It matches my experience. The chat matches my experience. Never had one problem.
Yeah, I mean, my only problem is the dude called me, got all my information, and they didn't show up.
I know. I meant to give you a number. I got a number that might can help you here. A member of our audience that works for them. I'd completely forgotten I had his number until the other day.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you after the show if you'll remind me.
Yeah, so I just before you go and make that purchase, I just want you to read all that there and find out what you're getting, because one person said there's only one fiber allowed, or one fiber that's
available
in your neighborhood.
Yeah. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
not even here in Alabama, but that's up to you. Back to college football we go. Dabo Swinney's in trouble. LT was pointing that out earlier. Rockstar cut 5. They're about to come to the end of a streak. They're not going to win 10 games for the first time in 12 years. They lost again, and they've got losses still out there.
Oh, yeah.
This is how it started for Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech, by the way.
They will fight to get to a bowl game this year. That's where Clemson is at this point. And Dabo Swinney gets asked about this not winning 10-game streak that is coming to an end.
Coach, this effectively ends the 12 straight years of 10 wins, remarkable streak, third longest in history. I think after you and Alabama, the next longest active streak was 2 years in a row. I mean, that just says how hard it is to do.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up a positive. Yeah, man, it's we'll have to start a new one. That's there's a reason why there's only 3 teams in the history of football to do that. I mean, it's hard to win, and but they end somewhere, right? There's all streaks come to an end somewhere along the way, and you start a new streak. So, what a run, man! I mean, what a freaking run! Historic. Nobody wants to hear that right now, but it's historic. What we've been able to do as a program. Big picture. Right now we're in a rough patch, and we'll work our way out of it.
What's left on the schedule?
How's that a positive, though? I've got it right here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose out. I don't think they will, but they could lose every one of these games.
Positive that Alabama, and one other team, I don't know who it was, is the only teams in the history to have that many consecutive 10-win seasons.
Yeah, but it's not really a positive when that streak is over.
He's saying you brought up the fact that we were one of only a few teams ever to do it. All streaks end is why he was saying it was a positive.
Well, you got Notre Dame where you're an underdog at home.
Right.
You've got Georgia Tech at home. You should win that game again. Georgia Tech's playing a lot better,
They're
though.
playing their best football of the season so far. 3-2 in conference.
North Carolina's coin flip.
Yeah, North Carolina is fading.
But, I mean, do you feel confident?
I don't feel confident with anything.
And then at South Carolina, they're not playing well either. But, I mean, those are all winnable, all losable.
I would just say if you don't win 2 of these and get to a bowl, there is not a scenario where Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Ryan Day, Jim Harbaugh, even Lincoln Riley struggling. There's not a scenario where that team doesn't go to a bowl game.
Yeah,
okay,
just get the minimum 6 wins.
Just those guys showing up to work every day, you're going to at least a bowl game. And how you could get to that point at Clemson is baffling to me. And how he did it is they've missed on quarterback consistently now. He missed, I guess, on offensive coordinator. I mean, Garrett Riley has not been good. What? You called that?
I think I called the Garrett Riley thing back in the summer.
I don't know. All I know
but
is
he's missed on quarterback consistently now, and that's you don't win games missing on quarterback.
Will Shipley has wasted his career.
Well, I don't disagree
He'll
with
have
him.
a better NFL career.
Concussion protocol could miss the game coming up this weekend, left in the second quarter this past week. I would tell you this from our Klatt interview. My friend Rick texted in and says, Lanning as close to Kirby as you can get. He says that's like saying Lanning to Kirby is what Kiffin is to Saban. Give me a freaking break. They're good because of Bo Nix. Joe Klatt is eating LT's gummies this morning, is what he's saying. He doesn't think Lanning is in the same neighborhood as Kirby Smart as a coach.
That Oregon team looks so different than the Oregon team we saw 2 years ago under Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, but let me just say this, and I think Cristobal might be getting exposed a little bit at Miami as a football coach, by the way. Explain to me then how Bo Nix can look like a very, very average quarterback in the SEC and a world beater in the Pac-12.
Well, 2 things. Better talent around him.
Okay.
And different competition that you're playing.
Yeah, and I would say this.
It's not significant enough for him to look that much better.
I don't think those defenses he's facing are considerably different than the defenses he was
not
facing
enough
in the
to make
SEC.
him look as different as he looks.
No,
he is older now, too.
But there are some good defenses out there. But here's what I would say. Jaden Daniels looked really average his last couple of years at Arizona State, and now to me he's the best quarterback in college football.
Yeah, it's the reverse.
Going to the SEC.
Yeah. So some of that's got to be on Lanning. You got to give him credit for some of that he took a really average SEC quarterback, and he might have been playing the best quarterback in the nation right now.
Right.
And all those players around him, Dan Lanning recruited some of those guys too.
Recruiting, I mean, you
it's
get
part
credit
of
for
it.
recruiting. Man. Yeah, 100%. I always give you credit.
I don't think he's Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, but I think that guy obviously could coach some football.
Yeah, I like Dan Lanning as well.
I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I do too. He's building a nice program out there. All right, quick break here. When we come back, we'll get to trash coming up. Moorhead and UAB in an exhibition basketball tonight, coming off a 29-win season. 7 o'clock down at Bartow. Aaron Estrada had 24 for Bama. They led by 19 in the first half on the road at Wake Forest. They lose the game 88-80 in that exhibition game. Auburn beats Furman in exhibition play. Janai Broom had 18 in that one. Alabama opens up November 6th against Moorhead. Auburn November 7th against Baylor. Cooper Flagg, ever heard of him?
Yep.
He is the number 1 high school recruit in college basketball. Picked Duke this morning. He's also currently projected to be the first overall NBA draft pick in the 2025 NBA draft.
He will be the next hated white kid at Duke.
Cooper Flagg.
There's always one.
And there's,
Cooper Flagg, no relation to Fanny, I assume. The only other flag I knew, right? Flagg. Cooper Flagg on his way to Duke.
Only imagine what some fan bases are going to do with this kid.
I can only imagine the signs. And we're back in a moment right here on TNR and the show that's being brought to you in part by our friends at Champy's Chicken. They bring you this hour of the show. The great folks at Champy's, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Swing by and see Sterling and maybe take the wife out to dinner this week, but especially for the tailgates, champyschicken.com, champyschicken.com. We're back in a moment.
Spittin' Lugs with ESPN's Tom Luganville and Lance Taylor weekly at Disrupt the Media on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and Bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping on some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And in our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, LT takes off the gloves for in-depth conversations with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmont Vodka. Find these podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com.
A legendary coach once said, "It's not the will to win that matters, it's the will to prepare to win." Bryant bankers have the dedication and experience to put together a financial game plan that's right for you. Stop by one of the 7 Central Alabama locations today or give them a call at 1-855-4-BRYANT to begin preparing for your financial future today. You'll find out what unbeatable service and legendary results are all about. Bryant Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and our entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast like Bama and Bourbon, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Our friends at Harbin's bringing you the sound of the day. Rockstar to be cut 6 to Josh Heupel. Oops, he did it again. Tell us about Harbin's, and then we'll take a look.
So close to being done with my project. Outback, Chili and Bullet. They keep asking me, keep blowing me up, asking me when it's going to be done. So I'm really, really, really close. Harbin's, his team, they do it all from the install, the lighting, final hardscapes around the pool, everything in between. It's beautiful work. One-stop shop for custom fiberglass pools, landscaping, hardscaping. Jeremy, great dude. You can find his work on Instagram at Harbins_outdoors. You can see it for yourself, or just call or text Jeremy directly. Tell him the Next Round sent you. 205-300-0718. That's 205-300-0718.
Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson ran the ball really well for Tennessee as they beat Kentucky 33-27. Entertaining game at Kroger Field. Big win for the Big Orange. But afterwards, see if this sounds familiar.
Josh, what were they able to do? You guys have been so consistent with your sacks, TFLs, quarterback hurries. What were they doing to keep Devin, for the longest time, kind of protected in that pocket?
Not again.
Okay, next question.
It's every week with this guy now. I'm so tired of this with him. Guy's doing a really good job. He's turned Tennessee around.
And you won the game.
You won the game. I'm glad they're back, but this is an old act by him. Every freaking week with this guy now.
Well, and I don't know if Tennessee fans are in love with him. I think they're still holding out. Look, it was a great year last year, but after the Middle Tennessee State fan got up in the bar I was out in the wild this past Saturday, Tennessee fan sits down, and I start talking to him, and he's like, we don't have any consistency. And I thought that they were going to be better than they were this year, but it's kind of a different look. I mean, that's a nice win. They're sitting at 6-2.
I know.
But I just don't think they're that good.
So that's what I'm saying. When you get on this, the refs are out to get us.
Third time this year he's done that. Third time.
When you get on that kick, that is a horrible merry-go-round to get off of. You just don't ever get off of it, because then you start noticing everything. And there are bad calls, unfortunate no calls in every game for every team. When you watch it, you see them. If you're cheering for a team, you see it every week.
Yeah.
That it's not getting called for your team, and you never see it when it's not getting called for the team you're not cheering for, because you're glad it didn't get called.
Yeah.
You see it. You don't see it because you're glad they didn't call holding on your guy.
As I said after the Bama game, I think he had a legitimate complaint against Florida. I thought that was a weird way they enforced that rule. But, hey, that call did not cost you the football game. You cost you the football game, you as a team. These next two, man, just the whole silent thing, I mean, I don't know. That's 3 times this year he's either openly criticized SEC officiating or done the old, I am not going to criticize it by being silent.
I've got to give you this stat before we do trash. From Stuart Mandel. I have not double-checked this yet, but it is mind-blowing, this stat. So I'm just going to trust the reporter. Brent Key at Georgia Tech, who just beat nationally ranked North Carolina, is 3-5 against unranked ACC teams as a head coach. He is 4-0 against ranked ACC teams as a head coach. I'll say that again for you. He's 3-5 against unranked ACC teams. He is 4-0 against ranked ACC teams as a head coach.
So weird. That's a weird stat.
Yeah, it really is. Haynes King shows moments on why A&M fans were excited about him, but he's also thrown 10 picks this year. But that offense is playing a lot better right now.
Yeah. Have you looked at their upcoming schedule to see ranked versus unranked for him?
Yeah, that's what's sad. That's what's sad. You need to be playing ranked ACC teams.
His problem is he's at Virginia, not ranked. He's at Clemson. You used to depend on them to be ranked, not anymore. And then he plays Syracuse, not ranked. Coach probably on the hot seat there at Syracuse. Does this carry over to the SEC? Because he'll get a ranked game at the end of the year.
It does not.
Oh, okay.
But he is 7-5 in ACC games at Georgia Tech.
I mean, he's 4-4. They got a chance to get bowl eligible. That's a step in the right direction if you can get them bowl eligible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's where we are as in college football in the NFL. World Series tonight. Time for trash now. Rockstar, hit the big button.
Do y'all usually start before 8 o'clock with a chainsaw?
What time is it, sir?
What time is it, sir? Well, it's after 8 now. You guys started firing it up at 7:55.
Oh, yeah?
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, let the experts at Mortgage Right help get your financial house in order. With locations in Birmingham and Leeds, Mortgage Right offers a variety of loan products, fast and free pre-approvals, reliable hands assistance that will help you take advantage of all available home buying and refinance options. Call today, 205-815-9200. Apply online, mortgageright.com/TNR, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Scotty showed us the footage of this. When did Sam Houston State play? Was it last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, one of those midweek Conference USA games.
Yeah, but Scott showed us the footage of this. But fans of Sam Houston State could not believe their eyes after one fan decided to attend their recent game dressed as a giant penis.
How about that?
See it right there? That's an elaborate costume.
It's Crocs on, pink Crocs.
Yeah. It's anatomically correct as well. It
So the guy dressed in the penis costume, it didn't last long. Shortly after appearing, he was escorted out by security. Is that security?
It is. It's
strict security they got there.
Yeah, that is security holding him, LT, by what we like to call the shaft. Leading him out.
He's got him by the balls.
It's security, cousin, shaft.
So, ironically, is it a woman in the costume?
Potentially. Pink Crocs would seem female to me.
The response on social media has been somewhat funny, with an overwhelmingly large number of people defending him, saying that it was totally unfair for him to be kicked out. I think in that atmosphere, you probably got to get rid of him.
I will remind him if he still has the costume. Jacksonville State is at South Carolina this week.
That's right. It's a battle of those people.
Yes, you could be there.
I would say this though: if you just put a picture of, say, a pepperoni pizza on one testicle, and another, cheese pizza on another testicle, it screams Mellow Mushroom logo to me. Is all it does.
Now that you mention it, I've never thought of that.
I've always thought just Mellow Mushroom.
Never once thought of that, but now that you mention it, I'll never see anything else.
Here were some responses on Twitter. Quote, team goes up 21-10 once, and the fans get all cocky. Another one, quote, if it was colder out there, this wouldn't be as big of a problem.
Nice.
It would not be.
Well
and
played.
then one said, well, it's been a hard season.
Yeah.
It has for Sam Houston State.
Hey, Lance, they don't score a lot.
Okay, what is y'all's take on this? Lazy tourist visiting scenic mountain spots in China's Zhejiang province can now skip mountain hiking altogether and ride giant escalators hundreds of meters long to reach the best view spots. I think this is cheating.
If it's like the mall, the escalator's always going to be out. You got to climb them stairs.
I think there's something about being able to achieve this walk to be able to see the great views.
That's right.
How long would the escalator take to get to Everest?
That'd be a minute. You're
Would you
gonna
take it?
Yeah, no, I would not.
Hit the summit.
Yeah, wait till it just goes out on you.
I don't deserve to see the peak of Everest because I'm not willing to climb it.
I agree.
So I read this story one time about a billionaire that was trying to convince. He wanted to see the peak of Everest, but he did not want to climb it. So he's trying to find a helicopter pilot that would take him up there and drop him. And all the helicopter pilots are trying to explain to him, we cannot fly a helicopter at that elevation. Yeah. The air is too thin.
Yeah, lack of oxygen.
Yeah, and well, it's not even that. It's just the thin air in the
It wouldn't
blades.
even fly,
Doesn't work. Yeah,
the oxygen that kicks in to make things explode. The other part of the oxygen. The other side of the
other part of it.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
That makes things explode in the engine.
Anyway. But he would not take no for an answer. So literally, and all these helicopter pilots are like, if you think I'm risking my life, you can give me all the money you want. I know I'm going to die.
Yes.
So I mean, people would try this, Lance.
Yeah, this is lazy to me.
Yeah.
So high-resolution digital windows like the ones sold by Liquid View give users the chance to wake up to virtually any view imaginable. I guess even the peak of Everest.
This was my Shark Tank idea that I just couldn't get funding for, but to have a window in your house, it's a digital TV of just Paris live at night.
I think they had this in Total Recall, the original, did they not?
Yeah.
Don't they have it in cruise ships as well if you're below the
They
waterline?
do. I was on a Disney cruise, and we had two options on our screen because we were below the waterline, and it was a porthole size screen, but you could either have what the live look like from your window out to where, not underwater, but where you could see the view.
It's a fish.
Or you could have cartoons playing.
Oh, interesting.
So we tried one for about 30 minutes, and we put it on the cartoons.
Guess who's got this in their office? Our man, Dr. B.
Does he really?
Yeah.
What's on his?
Last week it was a fish tank. The week or the time before it was the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh.
Is it a live look or is it recording?
I'm pretty sure it's recorded.
Yeah, see, I want the live look.
And then there was one of downtown Birmingham. It was really cool, though.
I mean, you could technically do this with any TV screen and a hard drive, right?
Now, they say
that's what they do in stores. Like, if you wonder why when you go in Best Buy, the TVs look incredible, I mean, they're running it off a hard drive.
It's consisting primarily of a series of high-resolution digital panels and a kit to make them blend seamlessly into any space like a normal window. Virtual Window can also offer users access to subscription-based content library featuring beautiful locations all over the world. I think that's what Dr. B's got. They say each view is photographed by National Geographic level cinematographers with feature film motion camera over 24-hour periods.
You know
so
what this
basically the
screams?
entire day is in stunning 8K video.
You know what this screams? Back wall for our set.
Yeah, we go anywhere in the world, right?
Here we go. Single panel, $25,000.
Okay, Jim.
Well, if you get the 3-panel option, it's $100,000.
So that's $100,000 right there.
Panel because it looks like windows. You can't do one panel.
Well, I would say it screams that we should stick with the two we got.
Yep.
Bud Light drink fine, don't it?
It does.
Good story here. One mother was forced to take drastic action after her two sons, both in their 40s, refused to abandon the comforts of the family home. Now, the woman, 75, from the northern city of Pavia, has grown weary of having to maintain her sons, 40 and 42 years old, and on several occasions tried to convince them to find a more autonomous living arrangement, especially as each has a job. But neither wanted to leave, so the mother was annoyed that her sons did not contribute to the household expenses or chores, so she took them to court, culminating with a judge sympathizing with her plight and issuing an eviction order for both of the men.
That's a bad day.
But how about this? Almost 70% of people in Italy between the ages of 18 and 34 still live at home with their parents. 73% of all men and 66% of all women.
I mean, that is an exceedingly high number. When you think?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think it is in the U.S.?
Well, it's got to be close because of student loan debts and just like let me live with you for like a year, 2 or 3 years.
I don't think it's close. That's 70%.
Yeah, it can't be close to 70%.
I would say 30% maybe. Less than half of that.
But it is growing.
Billboard.com. Their staff releases the 500 greatest pop songs of all 10. I've got the top 10 for you that Rocky has compiled here. Number 10, The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Again, I respect the Beatles, but I think they've got much better work than I Want to Hold Your Hand.
I will tell you this. When we were at the Stardome Comedy Club, they did a sort of cartoon drawing animated thing of the Beatles singing. Were you watching that on the screen at any point? I had a few cocktails. And
were you watching it on the screen?
And I was mesmerized by it.
I think you were seeing something else.
Yeah, because there was a lot of bright colors, and it was like, cartooned John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and they'd morph into a shape and
I didn't see
get
that.
on a swing. Oh, it was fantastic.
I wonder if anybody saw that.
I thought I was at the Sphere in Vegas. Am I at the Sphere or the Stardome?
Billboard.com, top 10 songs of all time, according to the release of their 500 greatest pop songs. Number 9, Tupac, featuring Dr. Dre, California Love. Number 8, cannot believe this is on here, Call Me Maybe, Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, shut up.
I mean, I kind of liked it when it was out, but it's,
I mean, the first two I have really no problem with. By the way, the Red Hills there. What's up? Red Hills White Sox.
Number 7, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
Okay.
You think there's a world that Kevin Spacey would get recognized on any top 10 list?
I don't know.
I mean, they don't even show his movies anymore. We still celebrate the hell out of this dude. I don't get it.
Is Billie Jean?
I'll never get it.
It's not his best song, right?
It's pretty. It's up
That's
there.
a great song with the beat and everything about it.
What's your favorite Michael Jackson song?
Probably Billie Jean.
Really?
Yeah. I used to love Dirty Diana.
Really? I never liked that one. I like Smooth Criminal.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple.
Good song.
Heard a couple of covers of Billie Jean, and one slow version, really, really good.
That's Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Who was the? Was it Adam Ant that did the
Alien Ant Farm?
Alien Ant Farm that did the smooth. I knew it had an ant in it.
Did not do it.
I mean, would Adam
That's a
Ant
good cover.
Adam Ant would be a great lead singer for Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah.
Number 6 on the list, Madonna's Like a Prayer.
Great song.
How about
I do
this?
like. That's my favorite Madonna song.
Number 5, Kelly Clarkson, Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah.
First of all, that is Amy Schumer dressed as Kelly Clarkson for this portrait.
That is a guilty pleasure of mine. That is a good song.
It's a great song.
So what's this list again?
These are the greatest songs of all time. Bro.
Pop songs of all time.
Pop songs? Okay.
Number 4, Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way.
I mean, in its time, that thing took America over.
Number 3, The Temptations, My Girl.
Great song.
Yeah, very old, but that's a fantastic song, right?
Yeah.
And it has stood the test of time. I mean, you can still hear that song.
Yeah. Number 2,
I always go Bo Jackson.
ABBA's Dancing Queen.
I like the song. There's no way it's number 2 of all time.
And number 1 all time, they brought it back in succession, Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody.
It's a good song. Yeah. It seems like a hard list to do. I don't think they got it right.
Yeah, it would be a really tough list to do.
Yeah. I like that song, though. I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the music.
Keep going, Dunaway.
Feel the heat.
I don't think that's the next
Feel the
lyric.
heat, somebody.
I want to feel the music.
That's the way I sing it.
Tyler, I like it when you're happy. These guys, not big fans.
I wasn't going to say anything about it, but that was like...
What a weird line.
It was so awkward.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room said...
I like it when you laugh.
I think it was Zach said, it's weird that Dunaway would say the same line to Tyler Booker that he might say to E.G. or Little T.
No, I get sent to HR if I say it to E.G. or Little T.
Daniel, I did not mean that. Like, Kevin Spacey did not have any even close. I'm just saying Kevin Spacey, really talented actor who's been canceled. And that's fine that he's been canceled, but Michael Jackson never canceled. And we still celebrate the dude, and he's a pedophile.
And that is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Hey, are you a veteran looking for a VA loan? Mortgage Right has been advocating for veterans since their company began. It's a veteran-owned, operated company committed to your well-being. They can help you find the best terms available, guide you through every single step of the process. Visit the locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply, mortgageright.com/TNR 205-815-9200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
And in part by our friends at Milo's. Hey, we've got an opportunity for you now to try those Milo's chicken fingers. We tried them on Friday. How good were those? those things.
Oh, delicious.
So,
all the great sauces.
Yeah, so fantastic. But also they've got the loaded fries as well. You can still download the Milo's app today. Use the promo code NEXTROUND to get a new loaded fry for free. Those Milo fries include the Mexi fries, which has queso, bacon, and jalapenos on it. The saucy fries, which has 100% pure ground beef, grilled onions, and Milo sauce with queso on top. All that right there with the loaded fries with our friends at Milo's. Download the Milo's app today. Use the promo code NEXTROUND and try the loaded fries for free.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter @RockstarBHM.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com.
The Next Round is so much more than the show you get from 9 to 1 each day. So make sure to head to our official YouTube channel @NextRoundLive and subscribe to get all of our latest content. We, of course, have plenty of specialty content and shorts based all around the sports in the heart of the SEC. But we also talk pro sports, gambling, lifestyle and entertainment, and so much more. It's the Next Round YouTube channel where you never know what you're going to find next. Subscribe now to see the latest content and get notifications when we go live. That's @NextRoundLive on YouTube.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts. Are you a fan of Twin Peaks too? Sign up for our e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Come join the fun.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Hey, Ryan Brown here from The Next Round. Do you want to help pay for my kids' college and look great while you're doing it? You need to go to The Next Round store. Everything from hats to short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, zip-up hoodies, and much more. And we're adding new things all the time. Why would you not want to see my kids get a great college education and look great out in the public while you're doing it? Get the gear we wear all the time on the show, and there's only one place to get it. NextRound.store. That's NextRound.store. DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Couple of state bench wins for me this weekend. I was going to feel bad if Colorado had not got that late touchdown because you had given me 19 and a half and it was sitting at 19. Yeah, but they did get the late backdoor cover on all the betting spreads out there for the Buffs there. And then Arizona playing such good football right now. You just wonder what damage they'll do to the Pac-12 before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I really wonder who the Pac-12 the coach of the year is going to end up being. If Washington closes the deal, it's Kalen DeBoer. If Oregon closes the deal and wins in a rematch and wins the Pac-12, it's probably Dan Lanning. It could still be Deion Sanders. It could be Jed Fish, though.
Unbelievable job he's done because that program.
Oh, they were. And they're fun to watch. It's not just. I don't think it's a team that's going to win week in, week out. Now they've beaten back-to-back ranked teams now, but it's still just a fun brand of football to watch.
Yeah, Arizona State got a big win. Speaking of doing good jobs, Kenny Dillingham, they're only 2-6, but they played a lot of close games. New York Butcher Shop, they bring you the steak bet every day.
Yeah, stop by the New York Butcher Shop, pick up the finest and certified Angus prime beef steaks, burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, all natural chicken cut to order just for you. Chef prepared entrees, side dishes, perfect dinner to go choice for you and your family, ready to heat at home with a great selection of fine wines and desserts. New York Butcher Shop, one-stop dinner shop. Had it on Friday night, fantastic. All of the time. 2 locations, Highway 119 in Greystone, Cahaba Heights, New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well done service.
Go ahead.
It was one of the weirdest clauses we've ever seen put in a contract. It was necessary, and it looks like it's coming to a close, but Brian Ferentz, the Iowa offensive coordinator, had a clause in his contract to keep his job this year. He had to average 24.5 points per game. So much so that for the first few weeks of the season, we had graphic support for this, and it just got so boring, we finally gave up. We had him all the way out to the 150-yard line. He hasn't gone much further than that since we quit counting. They have scored 156 points on the year. 156 points on the year. We had him at 148. Breaking news from Iowa, the 24/7 sports site that covers them. Brian Ferentz will not return next season, according to multiple sources. They say he'll not return to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Tells me that maybe Kirk Ferentz has lost a considerable amount of power in that program as well.
Could also tell you this: Brian Ferentz is just sick of him being the focus of this program because his father's done a lot of good for this program.
He has, right. There's no doubt.
And they're a solid program, not fun to watch, obviously, but maybe it's just removing himself, because if they're really going to hold to this, when you've got Northwestern, Rutgers, Illinois, and Nebraska, you're not going to get to the number you need to get to anyway.
No, absolutely not. You can't reach it now at this point. It would also, there's a chance that Kirk doesn't return. That maybe
it's possible.
Just not to get washed up. He's going to announce it now and give his dad the spotlight down the stretch.
Yeah, that could be. I didn't think of it in those terms, but you're right. I mean, Iowa is still 6-2. They're 3-2 in the conference. The problem is they lost to Minnesota, so they're going to need Minnesota to find another loss. But they are not dead. Keep in mind now, they beat Wisconsin 15-6. They're not dead to go to the Big Ten championship game.
Is this where Bob Stoops comes out of retirement?
To Iowa?
Oh God!
I think it's a tough job. I think you guys would give me that.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of these young up and coming guys. I mean, it's still a Big Ten job, but there are much better jobs out there.
Well, I mean, keep in mind Michigan State and Northwestern are already open. I don't know if you guys believe Michigan will be open when it's all said and done. If you're 59-year-old Lance Leipold, what do you do at Kansas?
So if Iowa offers me the job and I'm him,
if you have a choice to Iowa, Michigan State, or Northwestern,
I think it could be a sleeping giant with Leipold. And he's a Midwestern guy.
So you would choose Iowa over Michigan State or Northwestern?
Typically, I would go Michigan State, but there's such a haze over that entire athletics program that I just don't trust. It's almost like it's a jinx situation, what's going on.
I'm not sure I would stay at Kansas, to be honest with you, Jim. Of all those choices, the Big 12 is more open for me as a Kansas coach than it's ever been.
That's true.
So I'm going to go to the Big 10 and take one of those mid-tier Big 10 jobs and have to beat my head against the wall against Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, UCLA.
I think you can make as much money at Kansas.
Yeah. I think I'd stay at Kansas.
Really, you think you can with the future of basically the Power 2 conferences, the SEC and the Big 10?
It depends on this. I mean, Bill Self has been one of the highest-paid coaches in college basketball. I know it's a basketball school, but if they want to keep him, I think they could find enough to be at least – right there in the same neighborhood as Iowa.
I've got his salary, according to 24/7 Sports, at $5 million a year. I don't think you get a ton more than that at Iowa. I know Mel Tucker was making more than that at Michigan State, but can you convince the Rocket Mortgage guy to do that again after you screwed it up that time? And what was my other choice, Northwestern?
Yeah, Michigan State, Northwestern right now. But I have one more question to ask you when you're done.
Yeah, no, I think I keep what I got at Kansas.
Okay, and then there's Michigan. If you guys think Jim Harbaugh is heading to the NFL. Not that if Lance Leipold would take it from Kansas, is if you're Michigan, is he a kind of guy you look at to take over where Harbaugh has built you?
You know, he's 61, I think.
59.
59? Yeah.
I think one thing you got to look at, you got to make sure that whoever you bring in doesn't have any baggage.
So how do you feel about Lance?
I think the guy could go.
You went 59. That's virtually the same age that Nick Saban was when he took the Alabama job.
Yeah.
I mean if he could give you 10 incredible years, why would you care?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would try to find a guy that is on the younger side, a Dan Lanning type.
But when's the last time you got a decade out of anybody at Michigan? Bo Schembechler?
Yeah.
Now, Lloyd Carr had to give you a decade.
It was close.
It was close.
Well, I'm just telling you, You hire every coach thinking it's going to be a decade, and it rarely is.
Yeah. But, I mean, who is a good young coach that you would want to have the Michigan job?
That's my – I mean, you're going to go coordinator?
Not for Michigan.
Well, if you're – okay,
I want to prove a head
let's
coach.
just use two guys that are incredible right now, and their futures are so bright in the Pac-12, and that's Dan Lanning and Caleb DeBoer. Now, both of those guys are coming to the Big Ten,
right?
But Michigan's a better job.
Yeah.
So if you were those guys and you were offered Michigan,
yeah. If I'm DeBoer, I take a good. I guess if I'm either one, I take a good long hard look at it.
I don't think I'd leave Oregon for Michigan.
I think I would leave Washington for Michigan. I'm not sure about Oregon.
I think I would leave Oregon for Michigan, but I don't know.
I'm sure Oregon's got better facilities. Michigan's obviously got a better history.
Okay, now do recruiting.
Well, I mean, Jim Harbaugh's recruited pretty well there, hasn't he?
He has, but
it's easier to recruit Michigan than Oregon.
You think so?
Well, just because it's a pain in the ass to get there.
What about California kids? You think I know you hate the uniform reveals and all that, but you got a little Nike swag with you literally when you're at Oregon.
You got that with Michigan too. But I mean, not as much.
Not as much with the 16 to 18-year-olds.
But I do wonder about Lanning's style, like that style of offense, the going for it on fourth down. That is not Michigan style. I mean, Rich Rodriguez, I think, is a good football coach. I'm not just saying that because he's at my old school at Jack State, but he went, and it was a bad fit style-wise, and he just could not run his style at Michigan to be successful.
While we're firing coordinators today, and again, the sources are Brian Ferentz will not be back at Iowa as the offensive coordinator. Alex Grinch at USC.
He's got to go.
Yeah, you can't keep him.
I mean, just for the record, Cal this past week had 4 turnovers.
Yep.
Had a 2-point conversion to win the game with their third-string quarterback and their fifth-string running back.
I know.
That was their third-string quarterback and their fifth-string running back at Cal, and they scored 49 on USC.
Well,
they scored on 7 consecutive possessions.
He's the right quarterback, though. This kid is going to be good. He's a freshman from Miami. And I wonder how many people are going to try to chase him down in the portal.
Oh, you know a lot, Will.
Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Look, USC is not good. If it wasn't for Caleb Williams, they're probably a 6-6, 7-5 team. And for them to be able to win that game was a complete joke. As a USC fan, obviously wanted to see SC win that game. But if you're just any other fan, you're pulling for Cal. And for them to shoot themselves in the foot, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times.
If you're a solid defensive coordinator, do you go work for Lincoln Riley?
Well, I mean, we think that's what Alex Grinch was when he took the job, right?
There's my point.
Yeah.
And now he's a punching bag.
Yeah, but here's what I would say. A couple of years ago, when Oklahoma State almost makes it to the college football playoff, it was because of their defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles.
Who's turned Ohio State's around. Yeah.
So I would be like, if Knowles can do it there with an offensive coach like Ryan Day, if I'm good enough, I can turn this thing around.
It's really puzzling, though, because Lincoln Riley's no idiot. He knows his defense has kept him from having a shot at winning a national championship numerous times at Oklahoma and now at USC.
Y'all going to be shocked. I got on the IPAs during the USC game, so I sent out a pretty harsh tweet.
I saw it.
But I think it's true. Like, I think the USC is more worried about other things than football right now. And that's not good when you're that brand.
Odie's, and I got one quick thought before the show's over with. Nick Saban and Hugh Freeze's news conference coming up in overtime at the top of the hour.
Odie's Tavern, 2 locations. The original and Crestline will be there for Odie's Team Trivia coming up this Wednesday night. The newest location in Homewood. We were there this past Thursday for Bud Light Game Night. Great food from Rodney Davis. Get in, enjoy some of that. Of course, the ice-cold beer bucket's full of the Bud Light. 2 locations. Get in today. Go see Will Haver and that great staff. It's Odie's Tavern.
Tom Luganbill, who, by the way, is doing South Alabama Troy Thursday night, and then he's doing Bedlam, Oklahoma State this weekend. Good week for Lugs. On Monday Morning Live on these same platforms every Monday, by the way, 7 a.m. Central Time for the live show, said he will not be surprised if in tomorrow night's college football playoff rankings that Oregon is ranked ahead of Washington. Do you think that is a possibility?
I do, yes. I think Oregon will be ahead of Washington. I think Texas will be ahead of Oklahoma.
I just don't know how you can do that. I don't care if Oregon outplayed them. I don't care if it was bad calls.
Because
I've lost the game.
I've watched Washington the last 2 weeks, though, Lance, and they have had to fight to beat Arizona State and Stanford. Where do you find Arizona State and Stanford in the Pac-12?
Not good.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
And they've had to do that 2 straight weeks. If it were 1 week done away, if they had struggled against Arizona State and they come back and run Stanford out of an empty stadium with Tim Brando on the call, I think of this differently. But they've done it 2 straight weeks now. I'm really concerned about Washington, really concerned about them. Could have easily lost both those games. And Oklahoma's lost to Kansas. So, and Texas has beaten Alabama, who if I'm the committee, I'm going to have them in the top 10, top 8 maybe. And they got to win over them. So it's hard for me to ignore those things.
So you would have Texas ahead of Oklahoma.
I would.
You'd have Oregon ahead of Washington.
I would.
But you would definitely have Texas ahead of Alabama still.
I would.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I still think Texas is the better. I think Texas is the better team of all 3 of those, and I think Oregon's the better team. Well, I think Oregon's the better team out of maybe all those we're talking about.
But do you think Texas is actually better than Alabama?
I do, yeah. I think when healthy. They're better than Alabama. I mean, it's marginal though. I mean, we're talking play the game 10 times, it might be 5-5.
What about Missouri ahead of LSU?
LSU's got 2 losses. So, yeah. I mean, again, now you're talking 1 loss, 2 loss. I mean, all I would say is if I'm evaluating them, the head-to-head would mean a little bit less. I may still think LSU's the better team, but, I mean, you got 2 loss, 1 loss at that point, so that takes away a little bit of the head-to-head for me.
Yeah. Playoff announcement from the committee tomorrow night. Again, as Brandon Marcella points out, it's the first of several, and it doesn't count for anything at the end, so you don't even really have to pay attention to it tomorrow night. We love to see where the first blush is from the College Football Playoff Committee. All right, that gets us to our overtime. Nick Saban news conference, College Game Day coming to town. Alabama, 3.5-point favorite at mybookie.ag as LSU and Alabama battle on Saturday night on CBS. We'll hear from the coach coming up in overtime. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America. And as we kick into overtime now, we'll tell you that overtime is brought to you by not only our great friends at Bud Light, easy to drink and easy to enjoy, but also, Brownie, by our friends at mybookie.ag, where I was this close to hitting several parlays this weekend.
Yeah,
what I learned
close.
Is that I can hit 4 or 5 legs of a parlay, and it still pays just like I hit 0 legs of a 5-team parlay.
You need to hit all those, aren't you?
I needed to use the cash out part.
Yes. In fact, my South Alabama student daughter just now texted me and said, "Are we going to beat Troy?" I looked it up. Troy, 6.5-point favorite in Troy.
My early blush would be no.
Text her back say, "I don't think you're going to beat Troy."
But I got great Christmas gifts ready for you this year.
MyBookie.ag code next round is where I found that. And you can go to mybookie.ag right now. When you use code next round, they will give you a sign-on bonus of 110%. That is free money. You sign on, they add to it 110% free money right there at mybookie.ag. That is when you use code next round, mybookie.ag, code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag, code next round.
By the way, Nick Saban turns 72 tomorrow. Early happy birthday to Nick Saban. Had a chance to celebrate that this past weekend when he had a little time back. Usually at Lake Burton is where he heads off to. Don't know where Coach spent his off weekend, but we heard from Tyler Booker earlier. If I say this game is decided by one unit or the other, where do you go?
Well, I think in a tight game like this, special teams often is the unit that determines it. I think LSU's got an obvious offensive advantage. Alabama's got an obvious defensive advantage. So, those can weigh each other out, obviously. And then special teams, I think, becomes a massive, massive part of this game. And I anticipate that will be the case. Alabama has struggled at the punt return because Kool-Aid McKinstry's not fielding balls. That lost field position can be massive in a game like this. Alabama's extremely solid at place kicker, which has cost them some chances in past Alabama LSU games. So I think you can feel a lot better about Alabama at place kicking. So I think special teams will go a very, very, very long way in deciding this football game.
Nick Saban's news conference here momentarily. While you're here, remember to give us a thumbs up. It's an easy click right at the bottom. Helps us. And also like and subscribe while you're here on the Next Round YouTube channel. One thing to keep in mind for Alabama in this contest, as they're a 3.5-point favorite, is that offensive line. Can they give Jalen Milroe some time? And can they get some separation at the receiver position from the secondary of LSU, which other teams have? Florida State has had great success. Ole Miss scored a lot of points on this team.
Yeah, LSU's rush defense is near the bottom of the conference. A lot of that is affected by the fact they gave up 300-plus rush yards to Ole Miss. That's going to affect your yards per game that you give up when you do that. Their pass defense is really the one that has struggled, though. That's where they have struggled the most defensively is their pass defense. Harold Perkins has not been the quarterback harasser that everybody thought he was going to be this year. Some of that has been because of the way they use him. It's not necessarily directed at his level of play, just the way he is being used by his coaches. That has been trouble for Alabama, though, is keeping Jalen Milroe clean, and it has been a little bit of a traffic cone out there on the left tackle side. Guys just having to go around the left tackle to get to the quarterback. So you are concerned about that if you're Alabama, which makes you wonder, does Jalen Milroe use his legs more? He seems to have been hesitant about that the last couple of games. Do you see more of it coming off a bye week when he might be a little bit healthier if he was dinged up?
Zach over in the chat room pointing this out. He goes, this feels so much like 2015 is continuing itself, not only with the quarterbacks for Alabama, the early loss for Alabama, how they've gotten better now, but now the LSU game where everyone thinks Alabama will not be able to keep up with their offense. Same thing back in 2015. Was that the Leonard Fournette team?
Yeah, but the difference is, and I guess this makes a difference, is one was so run heavy. One was trying to out Alabama. And this is not the same type of LSU offense. They are very pass heavy now, and they throw the ball a lot. They've got talented receivers. You didn't have a feared quarterback on that 2015 team. In fact, a lot of the times Alabama played LSU, especially under Les Miles, LSU did not have the feared quarterback. Well, they may have the best quarterback in the nation right now.
As expected, we'll get to the Nick Saban news conference when he gets up there. Alabama, Kentucky is going to be straight out of game day next week. So sneaky 11 a.m. sleepy game at Kroger Field, Alabama, Kentucky, straight out of game day. That's being announced. The 2:30 CBS game will be Ole Miss and Georgia. Let's listen in now. Nick Saban talking Bama and LSU.
Bye weeks at this time of the season can be very beneficial. And I think in a lot of ways to our team it was very beneficial. I think we got lots of guys that were banged up a little bit, some rest and limited reps so that they could heal up. And, of course, we won't know how well that happens until we see how they respond this week. And we got a lot of good repetitions on future opponents as well as LSU, in the bye week. So that should enhance, our preparation, for this game. So, as I told the players when they left Thursday after practice, I wanted them to enjoy their time off, but I also wanted them to be focused and ready to go and all in when we get back because, LSU is a really, really good team. They're probably one of the best teams in the country right now. I know they are the best team in the country on offense. We're going to need an excellent attention to detail, focus, good technical preparation in the game so that, everybody plays responsibility football, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. I think this has developed into sort of a, rivalry game because they're always ranked, we're always ranked. It's always a big game relative to, what happens in our division. So it's an important game for, both teams. I think Brian Kelly has done a phenomenal job, bringing this team along. The improvement that they made, the kind of team they had a year ago, as well as, even a better team that they have, this year in terms of what they've been able to accomplish and what they've been able to do. And I think it starts with their offense. They're the #1 offensive team in the country. And, it starts with the quarterback, Jaden Daniels. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal player. He's a dual threat player. He's a great passer. He makes lots of plays with his feet. He's fast. Not only can scramble to run, but can scramble to throw. They've got a really good running back in Logan Diggs. They got a good tight end in Mason Taylor. Neighbors and Brian Thomas are really, really good receivers, but they have also other good skill guys to go with them. Their offensive line is big and physical, and they're able to create great balance on offense. So it's going to be very challenging for us to be able to, play the kind of disciplined football that you need to be able to play and not make mistakes, tackle well in the game, and be physical and try to win on the line of scrimmage, which is going to be challenging. Defensively, they are good players. They're a good front seven. They're big. They're physical. And, they play well together, as a team. I think that, sometimes they've had some struggles in the secondary, some guys injured and different things like that, but they also make a lot of big plays. They can rush, they affect the quarterback, and they can cover. So this is going to be a challenge game for us from that standpoint too. And these guys have a lot of good athletes and a lot really good team speed, so that makes them really good on special teams. They have good specialists, so this is a really, really good team all the way around.
Start up front here with Nick.
Yeah, you talked about Jaden Daniels. You saw him a year ago. What are the biggest differences you see in his game or improvements you see in his game from a year ago, if any?
Well, he killed us last year, so, guys was a really, really good player last year. He's a really, really good player now. I think, overall, they execute their offenses, to perfection. And it starts with him because he makes the right reads relative to runs and passes and, zone option plays and pass down plays. He's very good at reading coverages, makes really quick decisions. So all those things were evident last year, I think, by the way he played, and I think he's probably even better, now because he has even more experience and knowledge in the offense, and they've got really good players around him.
Yeah, on Daniels again, I think he had 95 rushing yards last year. And a lot of it looked like came on quarterback draws. How much emphasis is on that this year?
Well, actually, he made a couple plays on quarterback draws, but some of them weren't designed quarterback draws. 2 of his long runs in the game in critical situations, came on bust up front in terms of gap control, and he just saw it and took off running. So it looked like a quarterback draw, but I don't really think it was a designed quarterback draw. They do have designed quarterback draws. It was a zone option play that he scored on us in overtime, 25-yard run. Another mistake that we made in run support and adjusting the motion. So those are the kind of things that you cannot afford to make those kind of mistakes, all right, when you're playing against a quarterback like this who basically, is a great passer, but also have triple option type plays in their running game to get him on the perimeter. And so athletic, you got to have the right guys trying to get him on the ground.
Go to Charlie.
Yeah, hey, Coach. With Kendrick Law, what kind of progress have you seen from him, and what kind of versatility does he bring to this offense?
K-Law is really a great competitor, really tough, physical guy. He is a little different than some of our other receivers, so he does have, a role to play and does a really good job of that. He's a great special teams player, really good team guy, hard worker. And I think, we'll try to always have roles for him to play in the game that benefit his skill set and complement the other guys that we have in the game.
The middle with Matt.
What has adding Logan Diggs done for their offense this season?
Yeah, well, this guy is a really good back. He's big, strong, powerful, really powerful lower body. Breaks tackles, good one-cut runner, can make you miss. But this guy makes a tremendous amount of yards after contact, and he is physical.
When you go up against a really mobile quarterback like Daniels, you often talk about the importance of pass rushers being disciplined and staying in rush lanes. Is there a difficult balance to draw there between doing that but also making sure guys are playing aggressive?
Well, I think we want our guys to play aggressive. I don't think you want guys to get pushed by the pocket. I don't think you want guys to lose contain on the guy. So, there's a fine line between, that. If you get pushed by the pocket, we're playing with 10 guys now. If you lose contain and he gets outside, you put everybody in harm's way that's trying to, sort of plaster their coverage and stay with the guys they got to guard. Plus, he can take off running. So, I guess there's a fine line between that. We've never ever told guys to rush in their pass lanes, but be cautious. never ever even thought of that. So we're not coaching that.
Coach, clearly it's a big game on Saturday, big day on Saturday, but tomorrow's a big day as well, your birthday. Do you want anything for your birthday? What are you doing? Anything different? You're just locked into the game?
No, I mean, it's game's the most important thing. That would be an outstanding birthday present if we could play well in this game. And so that's what I'm focused on, and that's what, we're really, trying to do. When your birthday and holidays come up in football season, they're really not holidays and they're really not birthdays. You get older, but you don't really celebrate much.
We'll go to Tony on the far left. I've got kind of two. What have you seen from your own coverage unit? And then what are the challenges of facing LSU's deep passing game, and how do you guys think you combat to that?
Well, I think there's lots of challenges. You got to read, run, pass, and they got a good play action game. They'll 7-man protect and throw vertical routes. They've probably made more explosive plays running and passing than any team we played in recent times. So you got to guard them, you got to keep them cut off, and you got to be disciplined in your eye control so that you have the best opportunity to do that. Play zone, play man, play pattern match sometimes, try to mix it up, and that's the key to the drill. If you let guys get behind you, you don't get people cut off, you're probably going to give up big plays because they got a good thrower and guys that can go up and get the ball.
So what did you see out of Caden Proctor against Tennessee, and where does that competition stand at left tackle?
Yeah, well, Caden Proctor's getting better, and I think he's learning from, and gaining experience and learning. What we want him to do is, not worry so much about making a mistake, that he's not playing aggressively, and that's what we've been working on with him. And, I think he's getting better and he's getting more confident, and I thought he played fairly well. He had a play or two that I'm sure he'd tell you, and I'd tell you, and his coach would tell you that, we didn't execute exactly correctly, but those plays are getting fewer and fewer, and the good plays are getting greater and greater.
Two more. Start with Katie.
You talked about this a little bit in your opening, but what is it about this game and these two programs that's created such good matchups, really, since you've been here at Alabama?
Well, because, they have really good players. They're very competitive. They've always been well coached. And this game has always had significance in the consequence of your season. So the first thing you got to do is win your division. And that's what we're really trying to focus on. And you got to get yourself ready to take care of business against really, really good players to be able to do that. So, and that's why I think both these teams been ranked since 2007 or something, in the top 20. So, and I don't know how many of the games we played with them in the last however many 15 years or whatever that don't have some consequence to what kind of season you have.
Coach, happy early birthday. You've seen many bye weeks and the results of them on the following Saturday. What is a marker to you of productive time off leading up to the game?
Well, I think that, you want your players, as I alluded to before, to enjoy their time off, but you also want them to be focused and ready to go when they come back. So there's a balance in all that. You can't dissipate and go not eat right and do the right things while you're off. You can still enjoy yourself, but you also can stay focused on what you need to do when you come back. And I think that's combination and balance and all that. Balance in life is important in about everything that you do. So that kind of balance can create very positive results for you when you come back and you're ready to go. If you didn't think about your job, what your responsibility is, 1 minute for 3 days, you're probably not going to benefit very much from the time you had off.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is Nick Saban's news conference over there. 6:45, the start time for this one on CBS, not the traditional 7 o'clock. And I think it's because they've realized they're 2:30 window is going shorter now.
It is.
And they're, Rick Neuheisel and them can only fill so much time. So they're going to go ahead and go at 6:45 instead of stretching this out till 7 o'clock.
As a little bit of an update from the LSU side, while Nick Saban was talking there, Brian Kelly says Deuce Chestnut, Denver Harris, Zy Alexander, all unavailable for LSU. I assume he means for the game. I don't know if he's just talking about, I didn't get any clarification so far from that. Cokie Riley is reporting that from down in Baton Rouge.
A longtime White House correspondent, Cokie Riley.
Was that Cokie Roberts? Was that her name?
I don't know who it was.
Covers them for the USA Today group there. Cokie Riley is the name. That's 3 secondary players unavailable for LSU. Deuce Chestnut, Denver Harris, and Zy Alexander, if they do not, in fact, play in this game. Zy Alexander's their 4th leading tackler.
Yep.
So that's significant. Already struggling defense this year. Now a little bit of a depleted defense, especially in the secondary. Significant losses for LSU leading into this Alabama game.
For Auburn, a very different game this past week where Peyton Thorne was the quarterback. 20 of 26, 230, 3 touchdowns, no interception, and Hugh Freeze put it in his lap from the get-go, and it was a great start. First drive, touchdown, 24-3, a lead at the half. Auburn holds on and wins it 27-13. Hugh Freeze, plenty of talk about LSU Alabama all week long. Go and get our Tyler Booker interview wherever you get our podcast. Now here's Hugh Freeze down on the plains as Auburn gets ready to hit the road to take on Vandy.
I'm excited to sit here with a SEC win for sure. I'm proud of the improvement that I thought our kids showed and the job our staff did. And I think it's a direct reflection of accountability to little things that we are trying to instill in the way we operate on a daily basis here. And it's good to see them have success on the field. And hopefully we can grow from that. So thankful it was a solid game for sure. Obviously not perfect. There are very few that are, but a very solid game. I thought defensively the truths were it was solid. A few too many explosive plays. Some of that was really good throws and catches by their guys. And a couple runs we didn't really prepare for that we had to make adjustments to. They ran some midline actually, and we hadn't seen that. And but I thought they bowed their neck and played well in the red zone and did well there, and obviously won the turnover battle also. So solid effort defensively and offensively is our best balanced performance for sure. Good to see our receivers make some plays and our quarterback play with some confidence, and thought our protection was good, and I thought we ran the ball really effectively against a team that really doesn't give up the run. And in the first half, I thought we ran it as well as I've seen anybody do that. So good to get one at home, and now hopefully we can build on it. This is a scary game to me. I've always thought playing there was difficult for whatever reason, and I know you can look at their schedule and say what, or their record and say whatever, but they played a tough stretch with Kentucky, Missouri, Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss. I mean, that's a tough stretch of games, and they've been competitive at times in all of them, and it's a difficult place to play, and it's got my full attention, and hopefully our kids will be mature enough to approach this with the same hunger that they did last week.
Hey, Coach, now that you had a chance to evaluate the film, what were you happiest with Peyton's performance? What did you think he did well this week that he maybe hadn't done in weeks prior?
Well, it was really confident in the plan, and it showed. And he probably left 2 throws out there that he should have thrown, in my opinion, and he'll agree when he sees the film. He had 2 other RPOs that probably should have been thrown. I thought he left the pocket a little early a couple times, but he did good things with it. He took care of the ball. But outside of those 4 plays, it was hard to argue that he didn't play really, really, really solid. Had one ball that, was a little high, but should have been, we got to catch those too. I thought he played really solid, really confidently, and I thought our kids responded to that around him well.
What did you see from the receivers in this game against Mississippi State where they were able to kind of get open, make some plays, and help out Peyton Thorne, who seemed to be probably the most comfortable he's been in a Power 5 game?
Well, we protected him the best that we have. That makes a huge difference. And, basically we said we're going to go back to, what I'm used to, and we're going to play with some tempo, and we're going to take our shots when we get them, and we're going to see if you guys, rise to the occasion. And in a lot of cases they did, and we've got to continue to improve. There's still some sloppy things on there with releases and correct stems, but the good thing is you can really teach hard off of games after you've won, and say we can be better, guys. It was pretty good, but man, we can really improve this a lot. But it was really good to see our receivers get some confidence and make some plays. But I think just simplifying down where we can play a little freer and faster, it was really beneficial.
I got two kind of unrelated questions, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is what Alex McPherson, is that the proper pronunciation?
Mm-hmm.
What he's meant to you. I mean, the guy that's just almost doesn't miss or hasn't missed.
Well, I should have said that in my opening. I thought our special teams, outside the penalty and the muffed kick that cost us a little field position, I thought our field goal unit was on point. And I thought our punting unit, the job Oscar and them did to quick snap some of those deep kicks and still have them have to go 50, 60 yards in the situations we were in there in the second half, I thought they both did a great job.
Are you completely comfortable when Alex goes out there that he's going?
Yeah, I mean, I coach him, so I take credit for him. I wouldn't know what to tell him. That comes from genetics, I think, and his genes. But I'm extremely comfortable. I think on these next few road games, he plays a huge role in getting points when we get in field position.
My other question is, what Ron Roberts has meant is with a defense without much depth.
Yeah, he's
how y'all know to hold people down.
Well, he's one of the best in the nation of calling a game. I think we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and you want to play to your strengths. And one of his strengths is definitely game day, calling a football game from a defensive perspective and making adjustments within his system. I think he's really, really gifted at that.
Hugh, we saw Caleb obviously make that first catch of the game, and we've seen him more here the last few weeks, lining up out wide sometimes too. Just how much have you seen him kind of grow as the season's gone on and become kind of more reliable player for y'all? Yeah, he's earned it. And that's what I want our program to get to is I think we live in a world now where there's just the process of earning something is kind of lacking. And he didn't have it at first, and he kept working and working and working, and you keep putting on tape good things, and good things will come your way, and that's what's happened to him. And you'll keep seeing him, and unless he just shuts it down in practice this week, you'll keep seeing him. Thought we had a shot for him too and he was going to be open, and he got grabbed there.
Talk a little more about the play of the offensive line. I noticed that you had different combinations on just about every one of the drives that you were moving the ball well in the first half. Yeah, Jake and I met last week, and I just said I'm convinced that this is going to be better for us. And some of it is, man, listen, Cam Stutz is a warrior who loves Auburn and is giving everything he can, but he's beat up. And it's sad to see that because he would love to go every rep, but, man, he's one of these veterans that we probably need to not make practice tomorrow, seriously, to try to get through the year with him. And Gunnar Britton was beat up some, and so we've got to rotate those guys to hopefully. I mean, it's a long season,
We got 4 more games, and we need all of those guys to play significant snaps. And so I think rotating them is in the best interest of us. But to handle all the stuff that State throws at a team the way they did in the first half was really, really remarkable, truthfully. I expected a lot more negative plays than we had, and they protected the quarterback really well, the first half especially. The second half, they made a little adjustment on the way they still did the same thing, but they slowed their backers down and let them play behind the blocks, which was very difficult. And they did much better. We still popped a few runs. Some of that had to do with field position too, and they knew they could do a lot of things. So, but our O-line, I thought, played one of their better games.
You mentioned O-line. We've seen Connor Lew now for a majority of a game and a start. What did you see out of him in kind of having a chance to work and be the guy going into a week, and how do you respond?
Really solid. I heard, I think this morning he's going to get Freshman Player of the Week from the SEC Network. So congratulations to him. I also think Gunner's getting Player of the Week, Offensive Line of the Week. So they graded out well. I'm thankful that he waited till the last possession to snap a ball and hit his own rear end, because that would have made, if that happened the first possession, I'd have been a nervous wreck the rest of the game. You'd seen us go under center, but I asked him what happened. He said, "I have no idea. I have no clue, Coach." And, so he did really well. Made most of the calls the right way. He's very athletic. Sometimes that hurts him a little, truthfully. He's moving at a pace that maybe he needs to move a little slower, and gets himself in a little bad position on some of the blocks he has to sustain for a length of time. But I thought he played really solid for a freshman.
Yeah, going back to Peyton, I'm always asking about Peyton. Did you have any special conversations last week with Monty or Ken Austin or both of them about, hey, what can we do to make him feel more comfortable and call plays that way or do something to him?
Yes, it was. There wasn't really a conversation. It was just, this is what we're doing, and that's it. And yep, this is what we're doing, and we'll figure out which one can either do it or not, and if none of them can, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I think Peyton loved it. And again, I thought Robbie showed some good things in practice too, but Peyton was obviously took the initiative and was playing well enough. But that discussion wasn't ugly. But you get to a point where the only thing that I know is got to be what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I think we need to do, and I'm really not up. And it's not like they were fighting me on it. I mean, because but usually it was, all right, should we have this package? Should we have this package with this? And it was just, no, this is the only thing that we're going to do.
You mentioned getting back to what you know and do and pace. Does not facing a top 75 offense the rest of the way outside of New Mexico State, which I think is 43rd, does that give you an opportunity to continue to run pace if you want to?
Certainly. We look at everything. We look at the schedule. We look at, how the schedule shakes out and, what gives us the best chance to compete, to have a chance to win the games. And we're not always right. Sometimes we are. And so all of that has been looked at and taken into account. And I still say, man, we're a few plays from, being right there at the Georgia game and the Ole Miss game for sure, doing the plan we had. But all that gets looked at for sure. And, can we be effective, in a tempo offense? You got to win first down, which we did the other day. So, you guys literally, you take my words and you like, so let me clarify. I absolutely want us to play with tempo, but can you always? No.
I don't know. I mean, I think Ole Miss goes as fast as anybody, but if you watch our game against them, we did some things that got them out of that slowed them down. And so it's not like I can just walk out there and say, hey, forget it. We're going. That's not very wise. But when we have the opportunities to, we should be ready to. And that's what we had gotten away from. Because you can't, if you don't practice it, it's not going to happen with tempo. I don't care what you call it. You can call it hurricane. But if you hadn't practiced it in hurricane pace, it's not going to be what you want. And that's what we had to get back to.
Coach, do you have an update on Xavier Miller and Marcus Harris?
Both, I think, are going to be fine. So, didn't know that nothing that seemed to be lingering.
Hugh, I think between Keldrick and Connor and Kyan Lee, I think 7 starts for those guys, and then Jeremiah has played a big role. I guess just how validating is that of what you guys were able to do late in the recruiting process when you arrived?
I think the guys we were able to get to come our way from the high school ranks in the short time we had, we hit on, I think, most of them. Honestly, I think I don't want to start mentioning names because I'll forget somebody, but I think all of those guys are going to have a real shot to play significant roles in our development here as a program, and those you've mentioned already have.
It seemed to be in the second half on Saturday, maybe some hiccups in the offense. You scored 24 total points in the first half and just 3 in the second half. What do you put that on, and kind of what was the difference in the first half and the second half when it came to offensive success?
I take great. I think y'all would all say, man, I have been very transparent with you guys since I've been here, maybe to a fault. And but I think genuine relationships kind of are like that. And so, will you permit me to be transparent with this, and we can have an honest dialogue about it, okay? I think it's pretty, you guys can say whatever you want, and whether it's opinion, whether it's facts, and I saw many of you, that was your take on it. Do you realize we had 1 possession in the third quarter? All right, what did we do on that? Got points. Pretty good drive. Do you realize in the fourth quarter that we had the football on the -3, the -5, and the -14, 1 possession on the 30 that I punted on 4th and 1. But we were up 2 scores. That's the only possessions we had. We were up 3 scores on one of them, 2 scores on the other, and they're bringing gut cross and super field missile every play as we're backed up trying to get into the game. So I would love and I was aggressive. I actually threw it for a first down, and we got called for a penalty and back. I threw it 3 times, which is pretty crazy probably. But I would love after this for you to go show me what aggressive looks like on the board, blocking super field missile and gut cross. I want to know. So absolutely, you guys and ladies that I mean, you just say things and you don't. I mean, that's the facts. So I don't know how to be really more aggressive. That's the possessions we had. That was it. So I would have loved to have had some possessions like we did in the first quarter where we started at the 25 or the 30. But I promise you, I was not going to be aggressive up 2 scores on the 5-yard line or 3-yard line and let something crazy happen and a tip ball and they return it for a touchdown and all of a sudden momentum flips, and that would not be based in good wisdom.
Hey, Coach, I know they struggled last week back here, Vanderbilt, but there are times this year they've shown life offensively. I think they scored first against Georgia. Just from an offensive standpoint, what are you dealing with this Saturday up in Vandy?
Yeah, I'm impressed with some of the things they do. And I don't know what Swan's status is. I don't really know if he could come back or not, but maybe I'd love to know that. Seals, and then this kid they brought in last week, Taylor, is very athletic. And that receiver is special. Shepard, I think that may be his name. But, man, they make me nervous. You watch the way they competed against Georgia, and particularly at home. I think they're a different team there. And I've been impressed with Clark Lee every time I've been around him. And, they're going to be in the right spot. They're going to play hard. They're going to do the right things. And if you go up there and you don't get some momentum going your way, I've been there with a really good Ole Miss team now. And it was tough. And so they've got our full attention.
Coach, Jarquez Hunter, obviously he had his biggest day of the season on Saturday. Can you talk about how you continue to move him along in this offense and lean on him a little bit more? You've had a kind of a deep running back rotation so far.
Yeah, I'd love to give Alt, Damari, and Batee and Jeremiah. They all have been impressive when they've got their chances at times. And Jarquez is obviously getting the bulk of the load right now, and he's earned that the way he practices and leads and comes to work. And it's good. Truthfully, we're not designing anything really new. I think we're just getting better. He's getting better at being more patient and understanding the blocking. Our line's getting a little better at blocking. We're a little more balanced where the boxes may not be as heavy. And so I think all of that is a combination of why he's seeing more success.
You talk about Peyton having more confidence on Saturday in the game plan. Do you feel the same thing from the receivers as well? Because they look like they were, playing with a lot more, I guess, a lot more freedom, like you said, on Saturday.
That was our message all week, man. Clear the clouds, clear whatever it is, and let's play fast and free. If we make a mistake, play the next play, and we'll evaluate it. And if you make too many, obviously, we'll have to go another direction. But the game plan's not going to be complicated. You're going to get plenty of reps at it. Now go play loose and free and make some plays when they come your way. And there's no question there was more fun being had. Now you're going to get tested again. We're going to have some game where we have 3 or 4 3-and-outs, and everybody's going to. That's when you really find out how you handle those times. I think that just tells you who you're really going to be long term in life. And that's what we've got to have from our team is, man, let's just keep finding a way. And hopefully that's the way we'll respond. But they had more fun, and obviously we played better.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
And that is Hugh Freeze getting ready for that trip up to Vanderbilt coming up this weekend. And a little correction on the TV times I mentioned earlier. The folks at CBS are holding on to their choice 6 days, depending on the outcomes of the big games this week. It could be Ole Miss, Georgia. In fact, I expect it to be. But should Georgia lose, they've left open the door possibly of Tennessee, Missouri, or the possibility of Florida and LSU to be in that CBS game.
I wonder what they do if Missouri and LSU win. That's an interesting choice for them, right? If Alabama and Georgia win, it's obviously Ole Miss and Georgia. It's a very easy call.
That's right.
I don't know. We'll see what they do. Auburn, Arkansas is 3 o'clock Central, SEC Network. Auburn at Arkansas, and then Mississippi State, Texas A&M is the night game.
In Bama, Kentucky, if you missed it earlier, is 11 a.m. straight out of game day.
Which I think is, if you're Alabama, where you would want that game, honestly. I think you'd kind of like to go ahead and play that one and get it straight out of game day. Scott is showing you, though, if you're watching us, the complicated nature of that 2:30 window, which then now affects the 6 o'clock and the 6:30 window, because the games they don't pick are going to be on ESPN and the SEC Network primetime.
Yeah, either way, it's a good game on all 3 of those platforms, 2:30, 6, or 6:30. But, I like the fact that Alabama's at 11 o'clock in Kentucky, and if it's straight out of game day after a win, that'll be even sweeter for Alabama fans. Big week ahead, though, in Week 10. And, again, not just the SEC games, but with playoff implications. Kansas State, Texas. Ohio State at Rutgers could be interesting, 11 o'clock on CBS. Kicking off a triple-header on CBS.
Yeah. I noticed it was a CBS triple-header. I saw that when they teased it in the Dolphins game yesterday. I'm like, you don't get a ton of those, but you're going to get Rutgers, Ohio State, into Georgia, Missouri, into Alabama and LSU. Big day for CBS to get Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama back-to-back-to-back. That's a pretty big win for them.
Yeah, and for ABC, not the opening game they thought, Notre Dame, Clemson, into Bedlam, maybe the last time ever, 117 years, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And then into prime time, Washington and USC. And this could be Washington's last chance to lose, really, before they go to the Pac-12 championship.
USC's got to play better defense, but yeah, I mean, it is certainly a losable game. It's a very good TV schedule this coming week. Week 10 normally always is. This is the week, that first week of November, you get a lot of good rivalry games. Almost always delivers.
Yeah. All right, so that's our overtime today. We are back with you at 9 a.m. Central. Again, mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag. Always promo code next round there. Roback.com. I saw somebody on Instagram the other day, a friend of mine who doesn't live in the state anymore, and I was like, man, your husband's got a cool Roback pullover over. And she's like, oh, because of you guys, we bought all the Roback stuff.
Good. Buy every bit of it.
Roback.com, promo code TNR20 there to get that. All right, 9 a.m. Central. We'll see you tomorrow on the next round.